wasn't that perfect timing? Where's the music?
Howdy.
Yay! Welcome in. Oh, I think there was a couple new followers and it just exploded at that point.
Woohoo!
Yay! Hey, you. Welcome back. Yeah, so Synth Friends is all about meeting people where they are. Since our Synth Friends are all over the world, sometimes we start early, sometimes we go late. So it's kind of fun that way because then everybody kind of gets a chance to join. Most likely someone who's in your time zone, which is cool because then you can also be friends with them. More likely.
Isn't that convenient?
So welcome in, Make Mistakes.
Make mistakes.
Yes. I'm really excited about today's guest. I think we already have a lot on our minds that we want to talk about and ask about. And you may even have some questions too. Yeah, Synth Friends is global. It's international. And honestly, Twitch is as well, so much that, it kind of goes hand in hand. That our friends that we're finding to talk to on Instagram or Twitch are just, all over the world.
Go hand
synths,
in hand.
The language of music and the language of synths is universal, right?
It's universal.
Hey Danielle, welcome
the
in.
The universal language, synths.
Of sound. So let me get this pulled up. How's everybody's Thursday?
Yeah, it's a Thursday, believe it or not. It's flown by for me. I don't know about you.
Goodness. This week has been weird because in America we have this holiday that was on a Tuesday because it's
holiday.
Our Independence Day holiday is a date.
Just an itty bitty holiday.
So yeah, it's a weird week because it feels long and short at the same time. Like we had extra days off, but makes the week feel confusing. So
it's intense. It's been a whirlwind.
So I think everything. I think we got everything running, so I think we should be ready to bring on our friend.
Maybe we should join the Zoom call.
Martin is joining us from Copenhagen, and you may already know him as this amazing. I don't want to reduce him to being a YouTuber, but I would say that's probably the biggest platform that we've been connected with him on. So I am going to make this happen. Okay, I'm hearing two of myself, so I think that's probably from Martin. Okay, why am I hearing two of myself?
He must have the audio turned on.
Oh, from the stream?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, there we go. See, there's a lot of layers to this, so let's get them all. Let me make sure I'm not on. I'm not on.
It's a nice ambient delay. It's very similar to something we might have going on in the RE20 when we do our ambient music. It's
This is right.
It's fun. It's very psychedelic. I'm expecting it to reverse now.
Oh, make mistakes. Okay. Why am I hearing two of myself? Martin, are you with us? Okay, let's get over here. This is why. Wait, hold on. I still hear multiples of myself. Thank you all for your patience. Yes. Okay, so Martin, am I... Yes. Oh, it stopped.
Did that work?
Okay, that works.
Probably my end then.
I think we were hearing something through the Zoom call.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if it was coming in double to OBS, but I think it's good now. And we can hear you too, right, everybody?
Sounds great to me.
Yes, everybody.
Sounds pretty good to me
remember.
Well.
So welcome in, Martin. Thank you so much for joining us. You're on the screen.
Yeah.
You are on the stream.
Welcome.
Excellent.
Yay! So I wanted to remember the command guest you can always use for Synth Friends, and it will always be updated with whoever the guest is. So, hey, you already said they want to follow you on YouTube, so the YouTube link is in there. And everyone's saying it sounds good. So this is part of the fun of live streaming is you never know what's going to happen. And we all get to work together to solve whatever is going on.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us all the way from Copenhagen, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing.
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Amazing. Wow.
There's probably also a Copenhagen, Texas, isn't there?
I bet there is.
Probably. I know all the kids I went to school with did Copenhagen.
The puns are already starting. Oh,
but,
no.
that's kind of, it's snuff. It's like chewing tobacco. It's, like basically chewing tobacco.
Oh, yeah. Is it kind of stuff you put up in between the teeth and the...
It's called a dip.
gums? Oh,
and
dip.
interesting story, when I was in elementary school, there was a kid doing it next to me on the bus, and I wasn't like prepared for that because I didn't do it, and it like was so disgusting that I actually like vomited and had to like go straight to the nurse when I got to school.
Oh, did you narc?
It was no, I didn't narc.
Okay.
It was very embarrassing. I threw up. It was just very embarrassing. Like,
So
I'm just like...
Okay. This is a great... this is
actually,
a great start.
That's how hardcore I was.
I tried that stuff. I tried that sort of... It's called snus in Denmark and in Sweden. I tried it as well, and I also threw up.
It's one of those things, man. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Wow, welcome
Very
to Synth
common,
Friends.
I
think. We never know
welcome to
what's
Synth
going
Friends.
to
welcome to Synth Friends.
That was amazing. What shared experiences. We could never have uncovered that if we just talked about synths, right?
And then we both grew a mustache. It's weird.
Yeah,
from
there's
elementary
something
school.
there's something to this, I think. Like kids who yak when they do tobacco
Exactly.
are prone to growing mustaches.
Yeah, that's the way it works, I guess.
Oh my gosh. I almost meant to warn everyone that this was going to be a double mustache episode.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty obvious from the press photos, for the event that
It's always, but when you see it, like this,
It's
just
blinding.
proof.
yeah, it's like a lot of flavor saver.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Oh my goodness.
But it was actually quite fun to meet you guys in Berlin, actually.
Yes.
Because I've been following your stuff on Instagram. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Thanks. We obviously... Go ahead.
I didn't honestly know that you guys were this active on Twitch.
Oh.
I've never really used Twitch that much.
I was going to say, if you're not on Twitch, it's like a black hole. Like, you would never know what's going on there, right? Like, it's not crossing over to other platforms to, like, make you aware. I feel like YouTube was built to be something to share on other platforms,
Well, it's Googleable.
Yeah. But Twitch is like its own thing that like I sometimes will see people post, from their stream or post links on other platforms, but it's really like once you're inside of Twitch and you're using like as a user, not as like you could, from both ends, but when you're on it just as a user and like connecting with people, it's like its own web that sucks you in. So like if you're in the chat, you're going to meet people in the chat who also stream, and then you're going to find their page, or somebody might shout out another person, or we might have a guest on. Like it's all this web within itself, I think.
It's a little culty. Yeah.
Maybe. It does have its own sort of language and interface and interactivity. Yeah, hashtag not a cult.
But we like it.
But I think that's what makes it fun. It feels like its own world where, like we talk about this all the time, when you're in somebody's stream, it's long form content. You don't know how long it's going to go. You're hanging out with people. You're having real time interactions with the streamer, with the chat. You really feel like you're actually hanging out with people. Yeah. Hanging out at a show or hanging out at an experience, or just hanging out like you're at, like you went over to somebody's house like when you were a kid. Yeah. And just doing whatever's happening. And it's such a, like, it fulfills that part of us that I feel like we all became very aware of during the pandemic that we need in our lives at a level that's so different than just watching someone's content or even sending a message that you're waiting to get the response back. It might take a couple days. You never know, you know?
Yeah, if you get a response at all.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Or just like when you're leaving comments and interacting with people on different platforms, it's just, it's like a one-way thing. Whereas this is like 5-dimensional.
Yeah, if you're talking to anybody else, if you're talking to anybody else who's on it, you can have like an hour-long conversation that's just about like how great it is, you know? Like
yeah, so I really love that. Just getting lost inside of Twitch like all day, like might have it on while I'm working if I'm not doing something audio related. Yeah. And jumping around to different streams and finding out that somebody was in the chat that I was talking to over here is now over on this same stream. Also, the idea that you can raid people. So I don't know if you know about raiding on Twitch.
No, not at all.
Okay, that's the best part, I think, is that when we're done with this stream, we're going to send everybody, including ourselves, over to somebody else's stream that's live right at that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then from that idea and that concept, people build raid trains. So they'll have like an all-day festival where everybody jumps from one stream to the next to the next, and it carries people over.
Yeah, and that's what you were talking about with the Golden Shrimp Guild.
Yes.
So that's a raid train.
It's
a
community that hosts raid trains.
Oh, okay, yes, that way around.
Yeah, so they'll have a monthly one. That's sort of their flagship festival. Is the monthly? They call it Synthon, and that can go for like 4 days. Once a month. It'll be from like Thursday to Monday, because there's so many people all over the world. Different time zones get covered and everything.
Oh yeah, so it just keeps going. Yeah,
that's a really fun one. And then because that community is so big, on Discord they'll have different days that get organized by different groups of people, so it's less formal, but it might be more weekly stuff.
It kind of reminds me, I would say the closest thing it reminds me to in the physical would be like a pub crawl, or a music festival like South by Southwest, where there's like several venues, and you're
all in that same strip. Just the idea that it's all in this like one little location.
But it's really also very unique. Like there's just some aspects of it that remind me of those things, but like it's really its own animal.
That sounds fun.
Yes, as you can tell, everyone in chat, we're trying to convince Martin to start streaming on Twitch.
You should do it, man.
So I guess we should, in case anybody doesn't know who you are, we should introduce you a little bit, and we can give you can give us a little bit of your story. What we like to say is like your synth origin story, so sort of like what got you into, it doesn't have to be hardware, but usually that's what people reference, like your first synth or your first experience with like experimental or electronic sound that went, oh gosh, I'm going to be sucked into this for life now.
Oh yeah, that's a good synth origin story. Well, basically it's I started as a drummer in middle school. I was about 12, 13. And that was these, of course, days of grunge and Warp label, all that stuff. Warp label still exists and stuff. And the
glory days,
the glory days. So I just loved, Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, all that stuff. So actually, I would say I started with samplers, and I'm still very much sampler based. But of course, then you look at all these sort of, because samplers are basically just for me a giant drum kit that is expandable and flexible. So then you start saying, oh, these sounds and those sounds, and then synths get poured into the mix as well. But I guess basically I think the first real synth I really sort of lusted for was a buddy of mine had an MS 101, the Roland ones, and he made psytrance, and I just love playing around with those sliders and stuff. And I have to admit, I got the Behringer version, the MS1.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty. It was $150 used. I couldn't say no.
It's hard to turn that down.
It's really hard, especially when the vintage units are going for like, I don't know, $2,000, $5,000 US. Is crazy. In Denmark at least.
But going back a little bit, like I would consider samplers a synth in a sense. Did you have like a rack mount sampler?
No, actually, I think I got into Ableton Live pretty early. I think I bought like and Reason also. I used the samplers in Reason on an old iMac. So I was always software based, but I always wanted to have an MPC. And then you get a job after school and all that stuff, and you actually get money to buy stuff. And then I got myself an MPC. So I would say that's the first real sampler I had.
Okay, so more of a groove box style, or sequencer style sampler rather than just like a rack mount one.
Yeah, exactly.
'Cause that kind of changes things.
I got a rack mount down here. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Which model is that?
Yes.
Oh, the S3000 XL. That was my first sampler.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
It was also it was like this thing was like $50 also as well, and I couldn't. I mean, because I always wanted one of these.
Yeah.
So
they got cheap there for a minute.
Pardon?
They got cheap. They got real cheap for a little while there. They're going back up again, but.
Oh yeah. It's also because you can also I found out you can use the you can get it replace the floppy disks with USB keys.
Yep.
USB sort of memory thing. So now you have like a 1,000 floppy disks in here. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's a game changer.
So it's a great little expansion here that you can change the floppy disk to those USB things.
Do you use it mainly for drums, like chopping up break beats and stuff, or? I actually only use it for drums, basically, because I have synths underneath it, which I have that Yamaha TX. Actually, maybe.
Oh yay! We're getting a tour already. I love it.
Might as well. Actually,
yeah.
I think I can just grab this thing.
Ooh.
Yay!
You get a little remote camera action.
I just love how the origin story just ties right into the physical space.
Let's show you the synths.
Like that's so
exactly.
great.
But it's all this stuff is the stuff that I wanted to get when I was like 15. So now it's actually cheap, and I know it's just for a little while, as you say. It's going to go up again, maybe. But I always wanted this, the original 4-operator TX81Z, the Yamaha here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had those at a school that I went to and took a MIDI class, so I am a little bit familiar with that unit. Very tedious to program.
Very tedious, but I use an iPad instead.
Yeah, okay. So you got like an editor on your iPad?
Yes. Yep.
Sweet.
I don't even remember what it's called. And I sort of program 10 presets, and I kind of use those, and I have to admit I often just fall back on lately bass because it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then so I use drums and then FM synth, and then I got an analog synth here, the Waldorf.
Nice.
Another Proteus, the Emu, with all those classic samples.
Wow.
Yeah, sound module like Rompler thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's got all those sort of classic 80s sounds, early 90s sounds that are just instantly recognizable, and it's really fun. And these Line 6 units, I always wanted to have these. They were just crazy expensive, and I found it used. Really
those
cheap.
Are so good. Yeah, I'm familiar with those.
Yeah, you've used them?
I haven't owned them, but I am familiar with them. They're basically just rack mounts of like their higher end stomp boxes, right?
Yeah. And they've got XLR inputs and outputs, and basically it all goes through a sort of a finalizer TC and then into a CD recorder.
Oh wow, yeah. So you're just going completely DAW-less there, right?
Yeah. So I'm even mastering it and then putting it directly, recording it directly into CD.
That is the dream of 2000.
Yes. My gosh.
It's just fun, It's a fun way to do it. And then I tend to, rip the CDs like I used to do when I was like 19. I sort of ripped samples off CDs, and now I'm sort of ripping samples off my own CDs that I'm recording.
I find that that's very popular these days. Like, people that have been doing electronic music, maybe they, because I have a very similar origin story to you with like the Reason and the software first, and then
this is tripping me
got
out.
in, got some of the hardware later. And I feel like that's kind of a trendy thing to like, now, those of us that have been doing it for a while are starting to finally sample ourselves. It's like we've fully matured in our sound design skills.
Yeah, and you sort of it becomes because it's something you made like years ago, and then you listen to it again, you go, oh, that's all right, because in the moment it's often, that was fun to do, and then you listen to it back, and then you go, whatever, and then like a couple of years later you're listening back and you're like, hey, that was all right, and you suddenly realize that you do actually have a style, but it's only in sort of retrospect that you discover it.
Yep, exactly. Listening back, I have a hard time personally appreciating my music, like literally right after I've done it. I'm trying to get better about that. Like it's like actually a muscle I'm trying to develop is like appreciating it in real time and appreciating it like pretty soon after I do it. But, you know, previously I feel like I would have to really let it sit on the shelf for a while and marinate to like really appreciate my own work. So it's a thing.
I think it was Brian Eno that said actually he's learned to completely distrust his own feelings about a composition he's made during the moment of creation. So he makes a lot of music and just completely leaves it on his hard disk and then imports it into iTunes. And then he listens to the whole thing, his whole library, on shuffle while he's cleaning. And that's when he sort of makes the judgment of, is this actually good? Could I actually release this if I just reworked it or something? Which I thought was, you know, a kind of fun way, like a really great way of gaining perspective. Listen to it much later while you're cleaning.
Yes, absolutely, because you're in much more of an open sort of meditative state, like, you know, and I oftentimes find Brian Eno's advice quite sage.
Yeah, that was deep. Someone just gave us a follow. Thank you, Bright Eye Beats, for joining us. And I was like, I had to turn off the craziness on the screen when that happened because I wanted to focus on the Brian Eno quote moment because that's so real. And we're always talking about that feeling of like, yeah, you have to turn off your feelings while you're creating and listening back. But at the same time, like you can't
it's very difficult.
Bottle the way you'll feel later. You know what I mean? Like, cause you're a different person at that point.
Yeah.
You know, we like generate all new like cells every so many years, right? Like we're always in this constant evolution, and we may have, after creating something, we may have gone and had an experience that gave us a totally different insight. Then we go back and listen, and now we feel completely different about it. So it's really weird. It's a really weird experience to make things and then have to have a feeling about what to do with it. Yeah. It's
also a nice window into your past self as well, though.
That is so true, because like if you go back far enough and you kind of throughout the phases of your life listen back to your stuff, you'll totally like be able to like see exactly where you were at, and it'll feel so clear to you, but at the time it's like a fog, right? Yeah. And you're like, exactly. I'm unknowable, and then later you're like, that was so obvious.
Exactly. Oh, that's the way. Yeah. It's like rifling through an emotional diary. You know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's as we're kind of in a phase right now of working on new music, and that's exactly what we're going through, of like things that we've made in the past that we're like, oh gosh, why did we hate on that? Why did we put that away? Like that was good, but at the time it wouldn't have felt right. Yeah. So it's just a whole different kind of muscle to be able to. I think that's why we like Twitch and we like improv, and we like that we do something and it's happening. People are experiencing it in the moment with us, so like we can't take it back. We can't hide it. You know?
You have to stand by it.
Yeah, you have to let it exist, let it breathe, and we might go back and rewatch it and feel different than we felt in the moment, but at least it's like it's encapsulated in its true form. We didn't re-manipulate it with the way we felt about it. It just has to live that way, and it does kind of create like a living diary. In a way.
It's raw and unedited.
It's just like, this is how we were that day. This is what was really going on.
Getting over that hump is sort of like my jumping off a cliff. Like, I'm not that adventurous, like, physically. So, like, for me, like getting off and, like, you know, improvising and, you know, just trusting myself and doing stuff in the moment is sort of like my version of being like, all right, I'm jumping off the cliff now, you know? Yeah.
Well, just the fact that you're sort of, because a lot of electronic music is edited music, it's sculptural music, it's architectural music, but with all this stuff, it becomes that sort of instinctual jumping off a cliff, you know, trying something physical, feeling it. So maybe you might not be you're going crazy physically, but in a way you are really physical with your instruments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's...
That was deep. I liked that. I'm just gonna shout out Noah TT in the chat. Thank you for joining us and for redeeming some channel points. That's another thing we haven't brought up yet. But if you interact with someone's stream enough, you'll start to get channel points. And everyone can call their channel points something different. We have ours, it's called Cosmic Coins, which is so funny because we have actual coins now for our member site.
Yeah.
And when you click on it, it'll tell you like how many points you have and what you can redeem it for.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other layer to what's going on.
I have to say something though.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I think it might be my son.
That's amazing. Incredible. Your son is clearly a savvy tech user.
Exactly. I said be quiet on your game or whatever you're playing because I have to go stream now. So I think he found it.
That's amazing.
Hey Noah.
That's a first. We've had
son.
we've had people's kids or cats or whatever like come into the stream before, but never like physically in the chat. So Noah, you're a first.
That's cool.
Welcome. We'll keep it family friendly.
Yeah, he's curses like a sailor.
Amazing. Like we started this stream talking about snuff, so it's already it's gotten pretty adult.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
funny.
I mean, I was a child when that happened to me. So.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
these
kid's
lines
story.
are blurry.
So tell us a little bit about the wall of Moog you have behind you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
How long have you been collecting those bad boys? They're now out
that
of
took like
production.
10 years.
Wow, incredible.
It really took a long time. I mean, it's all bought used pretty much. I think these units are the expanders for the Voyager, and those I bought new. I had bought those from Man, but otherwise it's pretty much used. So, and it was 10 years ago. I have I think one of my first photos on Instagram is like 2009 where I set this up.
Oh, that was like the day Instagram started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost. I can't remember. I think it was like early 2010s that I started, collecting this stuff, and it took a while.
Yeah,
so,
that's impressive.
So these are the out of production effects boxes, analog effects boxes that they now have plugins for. Most of them, and I actually demoed those when they first came out. They're quite good.
Yeah,
I would say
they are quite good.
But the real thing, I'm sure, I think I had the phaser at one point, and I had the low pass filter and the ring mod. Mm-hmm. So I've had some of them as well. I do not have them right now, but
my phaser is actually sick right now, which is annoying. But I have to find a place that repairs them here in Denmark, and that's kind of difficult actually.
Oof.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other side.
So
to
you've got the delay.
Yeah, this one.
Phaser.
But this is the 104Z. It doesn't have the LFO, which I really would like to have had, Mm-hmm. But now Boss have come out with that new DM101, which is also analog delay, which looks amazing. I mean, it's a stereo analog delay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah, I could imagine you liking, Augustus, you liking these sort of the large format Moog analog stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always enjoyed, it's...
In another life...
I'm so impressed. I'm impressed with you and your focus and commitment to collecting these because we've had them come and go. And we're always
Are those spring reverbs you got up there? That's really cool. Yeah. Like a couple spring reverbs?
Couple spring reverbs. I can show you on the back. Well, I don't think my cable reaches long enough, but there's basically there's two sound cards back here, an expander, a Behringer. And on the headphone output, I found it actually has enough output and impedance to actually just connect directly to these spring reverbs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's on the headphone output, and there are two headphone outputs, and they're separately addressable. So you can have a normal headphone output and also 3 or 4, which are connected to these two spring tanks, and then that's why I have stereo. And then you just sub it onto. Yeah. So it's built-in sends. And I can actually, because it's all controlled by this is Ableton Live on a touchscreen.
Oh.
Okay. Gotcha. I never would have known that.
Wow.
I thought that was just like
just a monitor or something.
TV or something.
No, it looks.
The computer's up there.
That is
and this
sick.
is on. So, but you get gorilla arm because you're standing like this all the time.
Yes.
so you're really sore after using it for more than an hour. But yeah, it's up here on Ableton Live, and all the sends and all the sound card is being sent. So it's all this stuff is connected to Ableton.
Wow.
Cool.
That is
And
sick.
then I usually control it by here via Launchpad.
Yep.
But I'm selling lots of stuff to get a hold of that new Ableton Live push.
I knew it. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome. Are you thinking about just getting the controller, or you want to get the standalone?
I want to get the standalone.
Yeah, the standalone's pretty
And
cool.
so I'm selling quite a lot of stuff. But some guitar pedals, and I think also you can see it here. I have an old live, and I quite like this sampler. In fact, it's my favorite. But I think I'm gonna sell it to get the new Live Push 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. It'll replace that and more, and then some. Those looked really attractive to me as well. But I have an Octatrack and a Swarp Pyramid, and I feel like I'm just gonna stick with what I have for now.
Well, the
Until
Octatrack
you
seems
show
very,
us
very
all the videos of you using the push, and then we're gonna end up.
I'm addicted to the crossfader already on the Octatrack. I haven't even had it that long, but I'm like obsessed with it at this point. So there's that it doesn't have. So
and I could actually, the thing is, with the crossfader, I could imagine it being really cool in Ableton Live actually.
Oh yeah,
because Ableton Live has that
the
AB
crossfader, right? Yeah, the APC40 has the crossfader. I'm surprised. I'm honestly super surprised that the Push doesn't have one, or at least the opportunity for them to include one with the Push 3, because that would have actually maybe been something that took me over the edge.
yeah.
What
No,
up, Synth?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat too. There was a question about your Moog stuff. It was for you, but a friend, Celluloid, welcome in, said it was pedals, not for you. So just clarifying that for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted for you. That was always the dream. So that large Moog modular thing. But I mean, at that time there was no Moog modular, and it was vintage stuff, and I wouldn't be able to afford the new stuff anyway. So.
No, I think you did the right thing. I think that's really cool.
And I'm actually a guitarist. I'm not a.
That's right.
I can't play keys at all. So.
Oh, that's funny. So you started on drums and then you went to guitar.
Yeah, when I moved from home, because in an apartment at a university you couldn't play drums.
Oh, so it was just like out of circumstantial.
Yeah, and
Was that sparkling water that I heard you pour?
Yeah.
We're drinking that over here as well. So cheers to the sparkling water.
Yay, cheers.
We're drinking out of a can, but
cheers.
Yes, you're doing the fancy bottle. I love those.
Yeah, the Soda Stream. Those are.
Oh right.
Incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I know. I was actually thinking the other day that we're at the point now where I'm like, I think we're getting so many cases of sparkling that it's time for us to get a Soda Stream. And I was waiting for the tipping point. I was like, we don't drink it enough, and now I'm like, we do.
One of my friends sold it on that Soda Stream by saying that you can actually bubble it, carbonate white wine. You can't. Don't try it.
Oh, don't! It was.
But he said, yeah. You can carbonate. It's really easy. I tried it once. It sort of blew white wine up to my ceiling, all over my kitchen. It was not a good smell. It's sort of,
gosh, that
so
idea
don't do that. But
of that
that's
chemical
how
process.
I got one. Yeah,
that's so funny.
It was a friend who sold it. My wife and I on the idea, and she bought it for me on my birthday or something. The Soda Stream.
Aww.
And then we had to try it out, and it says, "No, we won't do that." And then it was in a cupboard somewhere for like several years, and then I just started using it. I don't know why, but yeah, don't carbonate white wine.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I wanted to show you the guitars.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
So it's just a whole bunch of guitars. This is sort of these two are the sort of the ones that are actually worth anything. All the other ones are modded. This is an Ed O'Brien signature Fender, and that has that sort of and it has a sustainer in it, so you can have sort of infinite sustain in it, which is So I love the Strat form, but I was actually building a version of this myself, and then this came out. So I thought, okay, well,
Well, there you go.
Ed O'Brien probably knows how to. Ed O'Brien is the guitarist from Radiohead.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah. And
Wow, that's incredible.
then I've got a nice Larry Vay, which is just a nice acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a little bit interesting. This is an Epiphone SG, but it has a sitar bridge.
Oh, wow, okay.
It has basically a buzz bridge. I found a guy in Germany who makes these, and it's a drop-in replacement. That you can
shit! I bet you that sounds actually awesome through like a wah pedal or something.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And and then of course, a bass, which I replaced the pickups and 3/4. That's actually my son's, that he never plays.
Does he have the? I know he might be with us, but I don't want to talk about him if he's here. Make him uncomfortable. But have you passed the bug on to him as well?
Well, he played for about a year and a half, and then he found football, soccer. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So then he went the soccer route.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then I got sort of a nice Dan Electro here. This is actually my first electric. And I ordered a Call Me Red. It was called Call Me Red. But it came in this sort of ugly terracotta. You can see it up the top. So I sticker bombed it instead.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But it's actually fretless.
It only responds to playing punk music because of the stickers.
Yeah. And I took out all the frets as well. So it's actually fretless.
Wow.
Oh, it's
fretless
fretless
guitar. I feel like I've never even heard that.
It's actually become quite popular on Instagram. Lots of people are doing sort of playing a lot better than I can play that kind of stuff. But I did that when I was, 25 or something.
Nice.
Wow, impressive collection.
I imagine that through the wall of effects would sound very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It has a quite a sort of soft, mellow tone.
Mm-hmm. It's all coming together now. It's all making sense. Yeah. All of these decisions. You have a very precise, concise setup here. It seems very thought about and easy to reach. You can reach for everything, and it all flows.
I think about this stuff way too much.
Well, considering how we met, Martin, it does not surprise me.
Right, exactly.
I would expect nothing less than a very well thought out gear selection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This looks like a normal Telecaster, but it's actually a 12-string. So
okay.
It has a
I would have
never
known
sound.
that. Yeah, okay.
It's hard to see on...
it is very hard to see, yeah. It looks
Can't
just like a regular 6-string.
It looks like a regular 6-string, but it actually has... And of course, all 12 strings are always out of tune. That's the first... You basically tune them all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, my uncle had one when I was growing up, and so I would just not know how to play it, and I just remember it sounding really atonal most of the time.
Yeah. So you play guitar as well, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I definitely played growing up. It was my first instrument. Bass guitar technically was my first instrument just because my dad played and had one around already. But the first instrument that I personally selected for myself was a guitar. During the grunge era.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the way. And the thing is about the grunge era was always about sort of odd sounds and sort of textures and stuff. Mm-hmm. How weird you could get the leads and sounds to be. So in a way, that's what attracted me to grunge. Of course, it's mainly distortion and stuff, but there's also a lot of texture and textural sounds in that genre.
Yes.
So you wind up collecting pedals, and then you wind up collecting synths and all lots of stuff. And then you wind up in a room full of stuff.
Yeah,
and then you end up on Synth Friends.
Mm-hmm. It's the gateway.
Yes.
Incredible.
It's a little bit of a support group, if you will.
Yeah,
I can also just show you on the table here. Maybe you can.
Oh yes, here I was gonna say, are we ready to segue to the tape?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Obama's Weed Man?
Welcome in, friends.
Yes.
We're covering all the bases. You've got it all covered. Yeah, this is something I've been definitely binging all of this content that you have up right now on
It's
the 4 tracks.
super fun to play with.
And you're playing out with it, right?
Yeah, well, I have, but I haven't done this year. I've actually kind of concentrated on playing live streams.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, but I actually found out that live streaming on YouTube, if I live stream, it gets a couple of 100 views, but it gets double the amount if I just record it and then upload it. I don't know why that is.
Interesting. That is really odd. You would think that, well, because you know how the platforms are. It's like whatever they want to push is what they're going to push, right? If they want you to use a certain feature, they're going to push that more. So that's really interesting. So this is why, friends in the chat, we were saying that we want Martin to start streaming on Twitch to see if he likes it. I think we would all agree this would be a fun thing to see. We would show up for your streams.
So are those two
and then you could
matching,
still post them to YouTube.
Am I looking at 2 matching 4 tracks? The same model? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the classic 424.
424.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about these ones is that it has tape speed, but high, and the normal, which is a normal cassette tape. But it also has an extra slow setting.
Right.
That's nice.
So it actually has a really, really low and gritty setting, which is wonderful on drums. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Because drums become outside of tempo because it's so slow. It becomes a texture.
Yes.
Yes.
Which I quite enjoy, just messing around with pedals on.
Yeah, and no sampler sounds as good as tape pitch down.
Exactly. That sort of very speed. I just love it. It has a completely different feel. I mean, you guys have sort of a nice collection behind you as well.
Yeah, we're just a little bit into tape.
Yeah,
just slightly.
But those are Tascams as well, right? As you got behind you.
One of them's a Tascam. That's like our main multi-track. It's a 3440, and then the other one's actually a Revox, and it's a stereo unit.
Yeah.
Half
that's
track.
the classic one that that people use to sort of glue mixes together, right?
Sure, yeah. That's one way to use it.
Cool. Yeah.
Definitely easy to make tape loops on it. It's got very speed as well. It has a editing block like literally on the headstock.
Yeah, that thing. Oh, I can't.
Did you say it was the A77 or?
B77.
That's a B77.
MK2 to be specific.
Yes, we must.
We like specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have another one that's not in the room with us right now, but we also
is that one
like
a little bit sick or what?
It's would you say it's a little bit sick?
Not necessarily, no, not that I know of. It doesn't have anything wrong with it. It's just more of a consumer level unit. It goes down to 3.5 or 3.5 IPs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And it has auto reverse. So you can use sensing foil and do the forwards and backwards, which we've done a few times here and there, and want to do more. Yeah. It's really fun to do that, especially with really long loops that have different material on each side. So you can just go back and forth and play a whole performance with it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that one has a lot of bells and whistles. That makes it really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Auto reverse. I had never thought of using that.
They're all unique, I would say, in their feature set.
Yeah. We have the,
that's just a funny thing because they're all sort of they all have that sort of they all have a different kind of style of thing, and then they have one feature that kind of changes it completely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The
auto reverse.
boom
I never thought of
era.
using that. Yeah.
The boom era of reel-to-reels is like everyone has sort of a different little quirk to it or selling feature that I love. I love researching the old machines and looking at the old ads for them or seeing what they thought was so cool about it.
It definitely had that aesthetic. That sort of. But you wonder if you actually had the ads in freshly printed magazines, would it have the same feel, or is it that sort of fact that those prints and those way of printing on paper and that paper itself has been aged so much that is it that texture that we like?
I love that question. I think you're correct because it was probably in the same book as the equivalent of a Soda Stream or all those different things, right? You were used to getting your magazine or your
Yeah.
you know, pamphlet or whatever in the mail, that you, even some of them that I love to see, the ones that are like, send us $1.50 and we'll send you the magazine where you can order it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
that you had to pay for.
Yeah. So I don't know if it had the same, I mean, it was a different kind of excitement or a different kind of enthusiasm for it than we have now, where we're like, oh my gosh, look at this ancient artifact.
Yeah.
That has embedded in it now some sort of magic and nostalgia that makes you want to stare at it for hours.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing that the Japanese say. They have a word for it. I can't remember what it is. Hazari or something. Where it's the wearing out of things. The things that get worn. That texture of worn stuff. Is a thing that they love.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it's called, Hakari or something, but it is, you know, they even like it on their, basically like old guitars, you know, how they're worn by playing.
Yes.
They do that on lots of stuff. They do that on, you know, cutlery and ceramics, but also iPhones. They just like that sort of worn look.
Wow. I never
concept.
thought of it that way. Yeah.
Like stonewashed jeans, kind of.
yeah, like that, but on sort of everything.
On anything. Wow.
On anything.
Okay.
Yeah, like your stairs, like your wooden stairs.
Right.
That kind of
an aging process.
Because it's not just an aesthetic; it's a feeling as well.
Yes, exactly, and their word for that encapsulates the feeling of something worn.
Wow.
Worn out, that is.
That's interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
That speaks more to this whole idea that we have about being obsessed with retrofuturism and like what the past thought the future was going to be has that sort of tinge to it as well.
Yeah.
That's I'm going to be thinking about that for a while now. Thank you for
I wish I could remember what that word was that the Japanese had for it.
I feel like someone either in this stream or later is going to tell us. It's going to come up. It's going to come up. Or we're going to be like watching a show and someone will explain it. That always happens.
It starts with an H. That's all I can remember.
We're off to a good start. So it's an iPhone with a crash screen,
That sounds like one of those terms that I'm going to learn it and then like overuse it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. We're going to hear it everywhere now.
Adapt it for my own.
Yeah, he's going to be saying it like he thought of it.
It's true. It's true.
You start to forget where you heard it.
I'm afraid the Japanese got there first.
Yeah. Exactly. So I do want to ask you about your website where you do your interviews, because that's obviously how we first connected with you, and I know you share it on Instagram as well. So I'm going to remember everyone, you can use the command guest if you want to find Martin on all the places. But specifically this first link we have here is directly to your website, which some people use their website to be, hey, this is all my stuff. Find me in all these places. But your website is actually like almost like an old school blog, you know, it's like a place to go to consume the things, which I love. And you do this very special series called 9 Odd Questions. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
tell us about that and what inspired it and like the journey of where you're at now with it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been really concentrating a lot on it because I actually I did the video interview series in Superbooth, and I'm actually doing that instead for the most part. But the blog, I had a website. Everybody has their own name. They bought it many years ago, and you're sort of paying that $50 a year. And going, why the hell do I have this? And then you have like a couple of songs on and stuff. And then of course Corona, the first pandemic hit in Denmark, and I think I got my own interview 1 week before the first lockdown in Denmark.
Wow.
And I just started because I could see, hey, we're all going to be stuck at home, and I am already looking at my telephone way too much. Right. I want to do an old school blog, because that's what it is. It's just a complete normal blog of interviews. And what was I interested in? Well, I was interested in gear and artistic process. So I just started asking my buddies, first of all, in Copenhagen, hey, you want to do these questions? Email them out. And it was a format that I actually kind of stole from or modified from something called what are they called? Workspace and environment. And it was by an artist called Surakai.
I've heard of Surukai.
Yeah, and he had an old blog, and I was just missing the old, the Analog Industries. Did you ever go there? The guy Chris Randall, he does audio damage plugins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that rings a bell, but I don't know that I spent much time there.
Yeah, but he had an old school writing his thoughts kind of blog, and of course, Tom Whitwell, Music Thing Modular. I really missed those blogs, and. So actually I asked them as some of the first participants, and Tom actually wrote back, and I did an interview. Tom is actually interviewed, even though he doesn't see himself as a musician or a music gear junkie for that matter. But I modified the questions for him to be about the creative process behind developing modules and the creative process that he has, because his modules are like completely different from other people's modules. He's trying different interaction and different interactive techniques. But yeah, so he was interviewed on that blog as well, and then I just kept on going because I had nothing to do. So,
Tom Whitwell is the Turing machine inventor, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was the guy who, because the Turing machine. It comes that sort of semi-random thing comes from something else I can't quite remember, but he sort of distilled that idea.
I think it was the source of uncertainty, the Buchla module, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably is.
Yeah. But I think he really put his own twist on it, because I definitely heard a podcast where he was being interviewed by Div Kid, I think, when he was still doing his podcast, and. From what he said, he may have studied a bunch of different random modules like the source of uncertainty and a few other ones, but he really wanted to put his own twist on it, and that's kind of how it came about. So I want to give Tom a lot of credit on that one.
Yeah, I think he actually has a sort of a very interesting take on interaction. Because it's not about the technology; it's about the interaction. I think he's an interaction designer. He started as an interaction designer for websites actually, and then he got hired by lots of different. I think he's working at the Times. I'm not sure.
Wow.
The newspaper.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
And he's a consultant for them, but he's always He always has really interesting thoughts about the interaction of. A musician with the gear, which I always find quite inspiring, actually.
Yeah.
And I thought his interview was quite interesting as well.
Same. So. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. You still have it on the site, right?
Yeah. There's 150 interviews. So.
Yeah.
That's I should get going on it. Yeah. I should get going on that a little bit again. The actual work of doing that kind of a blog, because the inputting of the stuff is not. That takes sort of an hour or so. There's nothing in. The actual work of that kind of blog is asking 100 people, having 10 people get back to you, and one of them doing it.
Yes, exactly.
So again, thank you for doing it.
Thank you for, collaborating with us on that. That was really cool.
It was fun.
It was a very fun interview. So, but I know what it's like to... You're reaching out to people to have them almost do homework. You know? And not everybody's going to be in the mindset to want to type some things out.
Exactly.
But it's such a fun read. As someone who just reads it, I just really love it because it's so personal, but it's it's the same questions, right? It's the same sort of format, but everyone has their own personal take on it. It sort of reminds me of that Vogue interview that everybody makes fun of. They ask people the same questions or whatever.
Same questions.
It's sort of like that. But they also have pictures.
Yeah.
So it's a really fun thing to scroll through and read because you get the visual with the maybe somebody has a funny answer too.
You should do follow-ups actually on people that you've already done so that you can see the evolution, because I know for me personally it would change a lot if you asked me the same questions.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I've thought about that actually, doing that. Maybe I'm going to ask you guys.
Ooh.
I'll be happy to do it.
You better be ready. You just
because it is kind of a studio is a living, breathing concept in your head, and you're thinking, oh, I want to do this instead. I want to do this instead. So it's kind of changing over time, kind of like, you know, the cells in your body. Everything is changing all the time.
Exactly.
But one of the things actually I wanted to do was I wanted to integrate, and I haven't figured out a good way of doing it. I wanted to integrate sort of some on the website that you can actually hear a track while you're listening, while you're reading that person's interview. And I haven't found an elegant way of doing it. But of course, some people make noise music, some people make ambient, some people make classical. It's very different from artist to artist. But I haven't figured out an elegant way of presenting, like where you just hear the vibe of someone's music while you're listening to and reading, while you're listening to their ideas, their music, while you're reading and watching the studio, you know. But I haven't figured out a way of doing that yet.
I could imagine that as like not on the site itself, but like as a reel, if you will, like an Instagram reel, where it would just be like the screenshots kind of scrolling through. So it would be like enough time for you to like maybe read a couple of them with the person's music to almost like give you a taste to then go read the whole thing, and you could have it in your head still. But that's not the same thing. It was making, when you first said it, I was like, oh, like the old days of web design where you would go to someone's website and it's automatically playing all this music and everyone's like, that's what I mean.
Exactly. And I haven't figured out a way of doing that elegantly, because it would annoy me.
Right.
There's a reason websites aren't like that anymore.
Doing that, yeah. So I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But I think it would be nice to just hear the vibe of a person's output, you know, in also in comparing it to what gear does this person have, what process, how does he or she or it set it up. So, but yeah, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. If anybody has an idea, please let me know.
I know. We're percolating with these thoughts. They're out there now.
That would definitely take it to the next level, and like you said, it would really highlight, you know, how diverse all of this music is that we create with a lot of the same stuff sometimes.
The only thing is, I originally started the blog because I wanted to get away from videos, and so that's also the reason why I didn't want to integrate. I mean, I have links to people's playlists or Spotify or Bandcamp or whatever they want to have at the bottom, of course. But because I don't know, it's a very delicate balance, I think.
I think you're right, because there is something special about the blog. It gives you that nostalgic feeling for the old school style.
It does, and it's super simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a very focused. I love this. Very focused activity. You know, there's it's a very simple like you design to the site as well, you know, like it's very uncluttered and very like peaceful to just go there, and it does give you that feeling of like, oh, there's not like something popping at me or, you know, other things going on. I'm not being overloaded with my senses. But I do like that idea of, wow, instead of like at the end going to find that person's Spotify, and then when you do that, you actually get distracted by something and you forget to even go listen to it. It's almost like if there was like a little guide inside the website that was like popped up and was like, okay, as you start reading, you should listen to this track or something. But I don't know. I'm not a web designer, so I wish I was, because I feel like
like the old Windows paperclip.
Yeah, like the Windows paperclip.
Oh yeah, that would be a cool way to do it. Yeah. A little AI wizard going, hey, you could listen to this while you're hearing about this piece of gear.
Yeah.
Like the Figment from Epcot, Disney's Epcot, like the little purple dragon, you know, like, hi, welcome to...
Oh my gosh.
That would be great.
I love that you've had this idea. I think that it's going to get solved somehow. But I do really like the simplicity of it, so I wouldn't want to overthink it, you know.
Yeah,
maybe that's for something else.
I want to be careful of overloading, because that's one of the things about the website. I just want to keep it really sort of simple.
Yeah, and it's obviously like gone well. You have over 150, you said, interviews on there, and gosh, that's pretty impressive.
I think it's been pretty consistent. We've got about 50,000 viewers coming by. So there's quite a lot of people going through. And I've also actually started putting affiliate links in. And it's a way to at least I can offset the cost of having a website.
Yeah. Everything costs something. I know.
Yeah.
Every idea we have costs us something.
Everything is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you found that the Superbooth interviews that you did are kind of the taking over your
but
time
I wasn't
and
gonna.
stuff.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I was doing it because I really wanted to meet people and ask people questions, and I just wanted to sort of, walk around and see. It was a great opportunity to meet the people who I've really sort of looked up to, like, like the guy Gur from Tip Top Audio, you know, just picking his brains, and Dörfer, Dieter Dörfer as well. So that's what I'm kind of doing right now. I'm sure. I mean, I have about 25 interviews. I've edited about 10 of them now. Wow. So I'll do that and then move on with something else, I think, because
the only reason I bring that up is because it was funny that I felt like we kept seeing each other. We were kind of in the same mode as you. We were like doing more like man on the street interviews. You had like a really cool setup and you were doing like really sophisticated stuff. But we didn't know what to expect, so we kind of just showed up and we were doing it guerrilla style. But it was just so funny to be like passing you around. Like we would see you over there interviewing somebody while we were interviewing somebody, and then we would like meet up at the sausage place or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but for us as well, we have so much content that we got, and I hate to use that word, I don't mean to like degrade it in that way, but like so much good like interviews and conversations and bits that we did, and we're still going through it and we're still sharing it, and it's just been like a behemoth of stuff that I thought when we got back I was like, all right, maybe in 2 weeks I'll be done putting everything out, and it was like it's what like
crazy.
6 weeks later and I'm still doing it, and I think it's because it was actually similar to like what we were talking about earlier. At the farther away I get from it, the more I'm like appreciating it differently.
Exactly.
I'm taking longer to edit things as I go. Like the first stuff I put out, I just like put it out, and now I'm like, oh wait, this was I'm like getting artistic.
The footage
with it.
becomes more precious. To you,
yes, exactly. So I almost wish I could have done it faster for that reason, but now I'm kind of like, okay, what's gonna come of this because it's taking this time.
It'll drop next May.
Yeah, it's just crazy because there was I know a lot of people said this while we were there. It was our first time, but everyone was like, no, this is like the best Superbooth ever. Like,
how did you feel about it? Have you been to previous ones?
I've never been to previous ones. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great fun. And it was a great combination of sort of a convention, but also a festival, you know? Like music that... I really quite like Mark Verbo's
you
set
just read my brainwave. That was the one I was picturing.
Was quite amazing.
That one was really euphoric, I think.
And I have like a 45-minute interview with him. He was fascinating to talk to.
He's the one I didn't get.
Yeah, he came. I was there like really early on the Saturday. And he came running. They live like 15 miles outside the city or something. He came running there at 7:45, and he was like, it looked like he had. I mean, the guy looks like sort of a marathon runner, but apparently he is a marathon runner.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so I was there early, and I got to talk to him, and then I said, maybe we can have an interview a bit later, and we set up a time, and I said, it will only take 10 minutes. And we sat there talking for 45 minutes, and then at the end he said, that was a lot more than 10 minutes. So,
it's hard to set limits on these conversations.
Oops.
We know.
Exactly.
I do want to say Armand Danielle is asking about a simple, elegant tech solution. Yes, their ears perked up when you were saying you wanted to add music to the site. So Danielle will have to connect you. Have that if you have a thought about it.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yes, I knew. I was like, somebody's gonna pop up. Oh, we've thrown a lot out in this conversation of like someone will know what that is, or someone will have a response for that. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Even if
Finish our
I'd love to
thoughts.
have like just a simple way of doing it, but more of the fact that the way the music comes on the website has to feel relevant to the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And one of the things I could think about would be that the actual gear that you're seeing in the pictures or they're talking about would be used in a track that you're listening to.
So that would be an extra step for the person that you're interviewing to
Exactly.
provide.
And
like,
I don't want to burden people with more stuff. But,
I think people would
it
like
would be
that
kind of
actually, right? They
Yeah.
would like to be able to facilitate the choice of
Yeah.
music to go with it. Not everybody, see, this is something I found too in reaching out to people, is like not everybody has something that maybe the most, like the way they're answering the questions might be about what they're doing right now, but they might not have something recorded yet.
No, yeah, that's true.
But it could, you know, us creatives, we're very sensitive about these things. We don't like pressure in our art.
Exactly.
But sometimes I really like pressure, so I'm a weirdo. And sometimes it works on people and sometimes it doesn't, and that's just kind of my MO.
You need the oncoming whoosh of a deadline.
Yeah, I really, really find that there's some part of me that switches off, that's overthinking when I have some kind of pressure. Like a live stream works for that. It like just flips me into that, just being really present and not overthinking things, and then actually doing it.
I think that's also the best thing about doing live streams. It's just like you just generate stuff and you're sort of focused on it, not thinking about it. Which that makes sense.
Absolutely, the like sort of that feeling of you're kind of one with the machine, and you feel like you're kind of channeling the energy of what's going on in that moment, rather than let me sit down to make a track in my DAW.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just going back to the thrill-seeking analogy,
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I've become sort of like addicted to that adrenaline rush that I get from just creating something on the fly.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't go back now, you know, and like what I realized is that I never really liked making music in the, you know, that way anyway. Like I didn't like just doing block by block, bit by bit, you know. It always felt really like cold, and I wasn't finishing anything. I mean, it's such a trick. If anybody, you know, now like, you know, says like, hey, I have a hard time finishing my tracks, the first thing I will recommend is improvisation. You know, just try, you know, get a few pieces of gear and make something on the fly and record it to tape. I feel like that's a good way to like, you know, kind of like get it started. Is just record to a medium. It doesn't necessarily have to be tape, but just record stereo to where you can't change it, and then listen back and do sort of the process that we mentioned, where we, you know, like where you want to listen back while you're cleaning or whatever.
Which is your preferred medium? Do you have a preferred one?
I mean,
tape or
tape. Yeah. These days, though, we are recording digital because you know you can do some multi-tracking. You know, more multi-tracking that way. So I find that, you know, today we're using like a mixer that has an interface built in.
Oh yeah.
So that we can record at least, you know, like maybe not everything gets its own track, but each machine is basically its own stereo channel going in now, so that, you know, you at least have the luxury of like, let's say you recorded some drums and like you got the feeling of the track right, but the actual tone itself is not quite right, or the mix of the drums coming from like a stereo sampler, for example, you know, isn't perfect. You could at least take that out, not ruin everything else, and kind of redo it or track it out separately from there, you know, like you're not totally committed, you know. But I would say...
What mixer are you using?
For writer's block, recording stereo is a really good way to go. The SSL Big 6.
Oh yeah. Okay, but that doesn't have an inbuilt recorder, does it?
No, it has a DAW interface basically. It's an audio interface.
So that way. Yes.
Yeah. So you can record each of its channels separately to an audio interface at least.
Okay, that's good.
And it goes up to 96K. Sounds really good.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, because that's, you sort of start with sort of the reel-to-reel or like a cassette tape or something, or, you know, CDs. But actually, I found one of the things that I actually very often do, just recording to a medium, is Instagram. I like just setting up, okay, I wonder how these two things sound together, this synth and this pedal, or this loop and this thing, you know. And I just set that up, and then I just record directly to my phone and upload it, forget all about it, and then go, oh, okay, yeah, that was actually pretty interesting, and then sample that back to other stuff, to other mediums like
reuse
cassette
it later. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
and,
just
and
gotcha.
yeah, it's just like even it doesn't have to be, but it helps with a physical medium, but it can also be a social media.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With emphasis on the media.
Yeah, come to think of it, well, I was just gonna say, a lot of our early stuff we recorded directly to Instagram as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a useful tool to gain immediate perspective on something, because you're not looking at it through your own eyes. You're looking at it through your own eyes, through other people's eyes, or imagined other people's perspective.
Yes.
Because you're thinking, okay, I wonder how this guy in Wisconsin heard that thing. He seemed to like it. Why did he like it? Because it sounds like cowbells. I don't know.
Yeah, you have an audience.
Yeah.
It is interesting to think about other people are going to see this. It does put you in a different mindset, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's sometimes helpful and sometimes not.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you think, oh, this is great. And then it's not. And then sometimes you're like, this is shit, but why does everybody like it? It's just weird.
That is a really good point. Like sometimes if you do share something before you have your own thoughts about it, it can shape how you feel about it when you probably wouldn't have felt that way otherwise. That's a really good point. Yeah. Ooh, this is very meta.
Yeah, it is.
This is all, just like how we share things and when we share them affects how you feel about it.
Yeah, most recently we started doing that again with the remix feature on Instagram, where we'll just like take a video, I'll just like put a patch together, we'll commit to it, record it stereo like we're talking about, and then we'll just randomly find a video.
Well, it's kind of the other way around.
It goes both ways.
It can go both ways. Yeah. But it's like we'll find a video that we think would inspire a patch.
Yeah, okay. Like of course a visual thing.
Yeah, a lot of it is going to be like deep sea stuff. That's
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
That's really my jam, because it reminds me of outer space, but there's not obviously footage of things being in outer space, right? The deep ocean is like, apparently we've explored less of the deep ocean than we have of sort of like our sort of atmosphere and the moon and stuff. So there's a lot of mysteries down there, and it's very, it can be very colorful or very like surprising of what occurs. So I really like that stuff because it's very alien-like. So it'll inspire a patch. And then it's sort of like a reaction patch. But sometimes Gus will be like, I made this patch, and I'll be like, oh, this video I'm watching right now lines up perfectly. So sometimes it works the other way too, and that always is super weird. And I'm like, I feel like you made it for this, but you weren't watching this. How did that happen?
That's my favorite. That's sort of the one I was talking about, and the one I enjoy the most is when the patch is completely separate from the video. So it's not like I'm scoring the video. It's just you're sort of just like whatever's circulating, in the ether, you put into your patch, and then you end up hearing something, and then it just happens to magically go with a video that sometimes I think is randomly selected as well, and we just like sandwich them together and like hope that it is something cool, like that.
It's kind of like synesthesia, right?
Yes.
Synesthesia, isn't it called?
Similar.
Like the colors, relating colors to actual sounds, but this is sort of relating biology and sort of physical reality to, synth sounds can be, of course, very realistic, but they are often outwardly.
Yes.
So that's a fun way to do it.
I think it's been really. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just a good way of using the remix feature.
That's what I was gonna say. It's kind of made Instagram a little bit more fun for us.
Yeah.
To first of all use a feature that they want you to use. So you're doing this stuff like in app. You're not creating something and then trying to force it to work inside the app, which is the thing that I think drains me the most in my modern life, is formatting stuff for the different platforms. It makes me literally so exhausted that I like need naps after I do it. And then you do it, you've put all this work into it, and then the platform's like, I'm not showing this to anyone because you did it this other weird way that we don't like right now. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, oh well, I'm gonna go do something else now. But using the remix feature is really fun because I'm already consuming my feed, right? Like I'm already in there most of the time looking for my friends in between all the ads or whatever. And you'll come across something cool that you're like, well, I liked this anyway. I was going to watch this anyway. But now I'm going to make some art with it that's not for a project. It's for just this experience of being on this app, which could end up being like such a waste of our time in the long run. But in the short term, because we're already on it and we just want to connect with people, it feels like it feeds something that's a lot easier, a lot more like, like... Instead of climbing uphill, we're going downhill.
You're going with the scrolling.
I'm going with the scroll rather than fighting the algorithm to make it show the stuff I want it to show to people. And back in the old days, you could just throw any kind of format up there. You could do long, tall, whatever. You could just throw what you had out there, and it would show it to the people that follow you. Now you have to please it. I feel like I have to leave it GIFs so that it will show people my stuff.
And leave it milk and cookies.
Make sacrifices.
Yes, I have to make
algorithmic beast.
Yes, exactly. And we just honestly, it was just this very we were in the studio and he was patching something and I literally just went, oh my gosh, this is what we should do. It just boom, and it we did one and it worked so well that it was just this is fun. It's almost like the way we might play video games because we don't that's not our thing, sort of just another outlet for our creative energy because you know what it's like. We're doing stuff all the time and it doesn't always make it to tape, if you will,
and otherwise it feels why so serious, you know, it's very fun to just have sort of put these two things together and not put a lot of effort into it, honestly, have it be sort of
the effort's already been done because of all of the years.
Do you think it takes a lot of effort? Because I don't. Personally.
No, that's the thing. That's what I mean. It's a very downhill experience. It's a very going with the grain thing. But the work of being the artist that you are and having the system.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 10,000 hours have already been clocked.
Yeah. That's really the work behind it. It's cause sometimes you just feel so drained from all of these years of work you've done or enthusiasm you've had for things. And then you have to fit it into this little box on a screen.
Yeah.
And you're just that's soul crushing. So you're
cropping everything out from you're removing your sort of life from that little sort of screen there.
Yes, exactly. So somehow this has kind of given us this little spark back for and then
that sounds fun.
It's funny because it is something that people have said to us I'm seeing these, and I'm like, you're seeing them? It's making it to you. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It is quite fun.
We'll see. They'll probably add a new feature next week, and then
it'll make them not be seen.
I don't want to keep up with the times, but when you're in a moment like that and it feels good, you just gotta celebrate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun juxtaposition, and it's always fun to feed your curiosity. You're always going, what happens if I do these two things together? That's a fun way that it actually aligns with sort of a platform for once,
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to question this. Right now it's good. It also kind of feeds into our love of sci-fi movies, and we feel a lot of the music we make is for sci-fi movies that don't exist, if you will.
Yeah.
So the idea of actually doing a film composing project like we've done here and there is not the magical experience that you think it's going to be. It's very tedious, and there's lots of feedback, and there's lots of back and forth, and there's lots of that's cool, but that does not do what we need it to do in this scene and this timestamp and all that stuff.
It starts to feel like work real quick.
Yeah, it feels like a 9 to 5 kind of situation. I mean, there's a range of that, and I definitely think that's still a dream of ours is to have that amazing project that totally fits with what we already want to do, rather than having to compose for something that's kind of outside of your creative space. So this is kind of a little 15-second version of getting to do that.
Yeah. You get to sort of just react to something in emotional terms via audio to a visual thing. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Giving it a try.
Yeah,
Seeing what sort of stuff, what types of videos would elicit that kind of response for yourself. Because it's like the things that we would like, it's going to be a totally different type of thing for someone else to do.
It's a pretty broad concept.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to own it or gatekeep it. I think everyone should do it.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It would be fun to try out, you know.
Yeah, there's...
So do that, get on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, you don't have a full enough plate as it is.
Actually, that sounds quite fun. But I tend to... I do quite a lot of sampling using the screen recorder feature from various things I fall across. You know, so I tend to sort of follow lots of people who are like making weird sounds. Like if people make weird sounds, I tend to grab it.
That's cool.
Yeah, the screen record feature on the phone, sometimes I'm like, do they know they are letting us do this? Like, do they know we can like screenshot and screen record everything? Should we be able to do this?
Yeah,
it's
well, I mean,
powerful.
It is, and you sort of, and you start thinking of everything that you sort of exposed to as a sort of a giant sample. You're going, oh, that was fascinating. It was old ladies in Malaysia make singing traditional songs and hitting sticks into a wooden table, and they make sort of completely weird instruments, a weird sort of not just rhythms, but also completely, because they're improvising with their voices. That was the latest thing that I can see that sample. Yeah, Instagram, and it's Malaysia, and it's not that it has that sort of gamelan tuning. They're singing in that kind of way as well. They're not singing 12-tone scales. They're singing just off, but it sounds beautiful, and the rhythms are just crazy polyrhythmic, polymetric. Sorry. I always find that kind of stuff when fascinating to sort of
that's super cool too. Well, because I think it's just about like you said, a mindset that you have while you're experiencing the things on your phone. Yeah. If your mindset is, oh my gosh, I could sample that, that's a way more fun way to be experiencing things.
It'd be kind of fun to sort of have the mindset of looking at the visual part and saying, how could I score that? You know, I don't usually do that.
That is totally different. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I think the first experience we had with this was that somebody sampled something we had posted.
Yeah.
And used it in something they did, and I was like, I never thought of that, or how did they even do that? So I guess they probably just screen recorded it.
That's usually the way I do it.
I never thought about that. I thought when they asked, they were like, can I sample this? I was like, oh, are they going to ask us for the file? And the next thing I knew, there was like a track up or a post up with it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, the one of the greatest ones for that kind of thing is Koala Sampler, because you can import the audio from videos. There's this function that does that. So it's like a Koala Sampler is almost exactly like an SP404 or a 303. They have that sort of pad layout and stuff, and you just do a screen recording, and you can actually go into that sampler and say import audio from video, and it'll put that it'll put that directly on a pad. It's just all on your phone, so you're just sitting there in your bed at night going, oh, this is an interesting sample.
Yes, instead of feeling like you're just doom scrolling.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
You actually feel like you're exploring the world as a music producer. This is fun.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
I think having that mindset makes you feel a little bit less like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm wasting time, or I should be working more on my ideas, and but you do need downtime, I think.
Yeah, of course. You also need to...
A balance?
Yeah.
Yes, a balance.
Yeah. And you also have to be very careful, because if I have my sample libraries, I tend to keep things I keep like samples that I don't have the rights to. I keep them on my phone, because I don't put them in my
you don't leave them at reach
PC.
To be used.
Yeah, exactly. Because if I accidentally put that stuff in compositions that I actually use for commercial, I've been hired to do some score stuff here and there. And that's definitely a no-no. You cannot put any audio from anyone else there. So I tend to keep all the sampling stuff actually only on my phone now.
Wow. Oh, that's a really good point. We were just talking about that this week, actually, of like, gosh, you have to be so careful. Like, it's chaos out there right now, but at the same time,
it is.
I mean, it's not like we do it.
The machines are finding all of the things.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, Danielle had a really good point about how some of, not to get sci-fi nerdy again, but a lot of the Doctor Who episodes that we even have access to at this point are because people home recorded them.
Oh, really?
Because when they were first, like those early seasons, they would they would tape over them at the BBC. They wouldn't keep them. Yeah. They didn't think anybody was going to care later. They had
That's
no idea.
Why they sent it out and then they just
taped over.
So there's a combination of home taping that. From the huge community of fans, they've all been able to find these episodes, or the stations that they would send them to in other countries would maybe have kept them and didn't destroy them. But BBC destroyed them. They had a fire at one point. They lost a lot of stuff. So that is a really good point. That I'll have to keep that in mind when I'm sometimes narking on myself about stealing something or filming it or screen recording, and it's but I'm doing this for posterity for later. We never know.
Also archiving stuff.
Yes, I'm an archivist. Exactly.
There's also one thing what Aphex Twin said. Basically, I release stuff. Now, in an interview he wrote, he said, I'm only releasing stuff so that I have a backup of it. 3 million copies of a backup. It's okay. We can't get anybody else to listen. I can't get anybody to listen to my weird music, and he's just releasing it to back it up.
What a mindset, though, right? To just
that's crazy.
To have
that's a crazy way to have that
as your headspace for it. I feel like there's something to why just his we could talk about Aphex Twin a lot, but the mystique and the sort of attitude of I don't care about all this stuff, and
it's authentic.
The anti, it is authentic. Probably. I think that's the only reason it works, but but it's he's not doing it for it to work, but it does. I don't know.
When I heard the story about him getting signed initially, it made me believe that all of that stuff was real. That he really just doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
He's just doing
it anyway.
Stuff for a backup.
He's releasing stuff as a backup. That's crazy. What was the original story?
Just that he was held down basically by friends. I think Tom Middleton was involved. Yeah. Who's another really good producer. And the story goes that he was on LSD. Yeah. And
late at night.
And that had a big part to do with why he was even willing to do it.
Because he had been saying no repeatedly.
Yeah, he'd been saying no, and they convinced him to do it.
Wow. They fed him LSD and said, "Got a yes."
Yeah. Just held him down and made him sign it.
Literally, held him down, basically was here's the contract, just sign, just put your name, and he did, and the rest is history.
Right. Yeah. Well, he obviously complied, so he didn't phone it in after that.
There is that. Oh. Yeah. I mean, and he does choose to release this music despite doing it for a backup purpose or not. He's doing it. Mm-hmm. He's making it. That's very intentional.
It is.
Making the music.
Yeah.
Some of us don't complete tracks or have a hard time completing tracks.
Yeah. I also think he's very aware of how his image and branding works.
Yeah, at this point, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's playing with it. He's aware of it enough to play with it.
He's definitely playing with it.
Yeah, and that's just the fact that there's lore about how he got signed,
That's it, Danielle. He's not contesting the contract,
That just proves it's all part of the lore.
Yeah.
He's just going all in on the persona. But I'm here for it because I like the art, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's very often that that's the kind of attitude that I like in an artist. I like Burial, who is completely anonymous. Mm-hmm. I like Boards of Canada, who have done 2 interviews ever, and then Aphex Twin, who is basically I don't want to release music. It's just
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
It's almost
That says
like-
something about my
About,
what I'm.
it's a
find
grunge
attractive.
sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, I don't want to use the word vibe, but I can't think of a better one. The grunge lifestyle or the grunge approach. If
Yeah.
grunge is a way of life, I would
Yeah.
say that's related to it. But it also makes me
Yeah.
think that it's less about that and more about, does it make the art more valuable that they're less willing to make lots of it, or
It's
less
a psychological
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think.
like
It
if
is.
there were 400 Boards of Canada albums,
Yeah.
would we really be able to like go on forums and debate,
Yeah.
which one's the best? That would kind of
Yeah.
devalue the experience, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't
But
know
it
they
kind
had
of
only
works
done
for,
a
like,
few
Mark DeMarco.
interviews.
Right,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
like the complete opposite end of things, right?
Yeah, he releases 180 tracks or something. It's,
Yeah.
insane.
It's almost like there's no middle ground with art and being an
Yeah.
artist. That you have to go all
Yeah.
in on whichever approach
You kinda
is
have to-
authentic for you.
You got to seek the extreme version of you.
I've actually, it's funny that you said Mac DeMarco because Ani DeFranco, which is not an artist that I know that well, but I heard somebody who toured with her say that her advice to everyone was to find out what makes you you and then amplify that, make it extreme.
Yeah.
Not like be
Yeah.
extreme, but extremify what
Yeah.
you are and what you are as an artist.
Well, that's
to people.
Stockhausen as well. That was
Yeah.
Stockhausen's big philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, you go back in every sort of experimental avant-garde music, and you find Stockhausen. It's
Yes.
crazy. He's been. Oh yeah, he was there already. Yeah, okay, fine.
That's such a good point. I mean, speak of someone who made like thousands of compositions, like
Yeah.
he just was obsessive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that leads to, but also was obsessive, but also very sure that what he was doing was correct.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
therefore, was not really, he wasn't, a super cuddly person, not super
No,
easy
no.
to work with, but he was very productive because he would basically be like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I
Yeah.
demand of the people that are supplying the things, and I am going full bore at this idea, and nothing's going to stand in my way.
Very, very monomaniacal.
Yeah, so it's like, it's hard because like I don't necessarily value those traits as in a person, or I wouldn't
No.
want myself to be that way. But then sometimes you're like, but if that gets you
Yeah.
the product,
Thing.
not
Yeah.
necessarily product and product to sell, but
Yeah.
if that produces the thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
is there really any other path to it? I don't know. Are we married to our art?
Another artist in that category that comes to mind is Black Moth Super Rainbow.
Oh, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, they're really like.
He also goes by Tobacco.
Yeah, Tobacco is
Okay.
another moniker, and he's always in a mask, or he's like done like
Yeah.
2 interviews, or he's
Yeah.
very keeps his cards close.
I mean,
to
we've
his
seen him
chest.
live, so it's not like he doesn't go out in the world. But
Ah,
yeah, his whole, I would
Even
say
the-
his brand is very elusive.
Touring's pretty rare. He did the theme song for Silicon Valley, the TV show.
Oh, okay.
So if you've
Okay.
heard that, that's Tobacco. I think that was a Tobacco
Was it Tobacco?
song.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't, there
Okay.
is a difference between the two projects, but I think the Black Moth Super Rainbow stuff is like more club music, and the Tobacco
Yeah.
stuff can be a little bit more
Aggressive,
experimental.
raw,
Yeah.
Yeah.
punk. if
Black
you will.
Moth Super Rainbow. Gotta
Yeah.
check that out.
I don't know. I'm very curious for you to listen to that and
Yeah.
know what you think about it.
I feel like you would like it. Actually,
I don't know. I'd be very
listening
curious.
to your music, I feel like you dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
Check that out.
Perhaps. So we've talked a lot about like your sort of community building efforts and your contributions to the greater sort of synth community or gear community. I hate to think of it as a gear community, but that's kind of what it is. In terms of like, connecting everybody and giving people a platform, but also you make music yourself and have stuff on
Yeah.
your Bandcamp that we were checking out.
Yes.
And so
Well,
where
the
does-
Bandcamp is kind of the folky singer-songwriter stuff. I have a couple of tracks, instrumental, electronic stuff, but mainly it's that sort of singer-songwriter stuff.
Yes, I was enjoying listening to that variety that you have.
Yeah, it's Yeah.
And I think the through line is sort of a lo-fi sort of underpinning, if you will.
Definitely.
I think that's, as a genre, more than an approach, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's definitely lots of lo-fi. I like that in all, lo-fi in all things. And that's basically Boards of Canada. I love Boards of Canada.
Have you heard of a guitar pedal called the Kinotone Ribbons?
No.
Do you want to hold it up?
Kinotone Ribbons?
I've been a big fan of. This is probably my newest, best favorite toy that I've gotten effects wise, but
yeah,
it's got.
Oh, you did a post on that one.
I don't think we have yet.
Okay.
We should.
Somebody
You're
did.
right.
But it's kind of like he used a little bit of a mutable instruments aesthetic with the design. The knobs are the same, and that logo kind of reminds me of. Like, if you could see the detail of it, it's even easier.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
But this is the only product the company's made so far, and it's based out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I think it's freaking brilliant. It's like basically an emulation of analog tape. Yeah. But the detail at which, this person designed the DSP is pretty insane, pretty groundbreaking, and it's similar to like a Gen Loss 2 by Chase Bliss.
Yeah. Because that I've been eyeing that quite a bit.
But there's no latency. Like,
really?
It's literally like real time. You can run drums through it, and you get no phasing.
Okay, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, and I think they're actually doing a batch tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
what's it called again?
Kinotone Ribbons. Kinotone Ribbons. There's some good YouTube
Not
content
sponsored,
out there.
Just love it.
He actually does some Boards of Canada riffs with it. Yeah. So I'm presuming that he's also a fan.
That's what made you. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think they're selling them tomorrow and then never again. Like, it's a very small company, and they want to move on to other things, and it's just been a lot of effort to build the units that they've built of this. So you kind of have like one chance to get this
timing for you to hear about
What
this
timing?
But if you listen to the demo, I think you're going to be blown away. Like, it got me, and I'm not usually one for the hype, honestly. Like, I don't have that much gear like that I've bought recently, you know what I mean? Like, it's
new stuff.
Yeah, it's
especially
like, I don't remember
pedals.
last time I bought a guitar pedal.
Yeah.
It's been years, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I used to review them and get a lot of them for free. So it really takes a lot for me to be excited about a pedal.
Yeah.
It kind of ruined it. It's like too much of a good thing.
But I am I am like really hyped on this thing. Like,
you should do a post about it.
I will. I mean, it's like,
it's so special.
I have
it's
it
like
permanently connected to the main synth that I use when we do live streaming. So it's a huge part of my sound right now.
Oh, because I was thinking that was one of the reel-to-reels.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
This thing,
cool.
He thought of every little ounce of detail to get the sound of tape.
Yeah.
Where you can reproduce it instantly with the digital pedal. Like, it's amazing.
The instant part is that is a good feature.
Yes. Reusable. It's always there. Anytime I turn my gear on, I have the sound of tape.
Especially because I've actually been thinking about I've been building a drum set again because I started on drums and I've been building a drum set again, so I've actually been interested in getting back into drums and with pedals.
That's so awesome.
That's fun. It's a fun part.
Wow.
In fact, just got a bass drum.
Ooh.
I don't know if you guys can see it.
Did you build that?
No, I ordered this and I'm going to be installing sort of my own hardware on it.
Oh, okay.
That's
I ordered from a place in Germany, and it's actually a very thin kick drum. This is actually a kick drum. It's 20 inches.
Yeah, that is
it's
pretty
only
thin,
9 inches. It's only 9 inches deep. So I have to drill a lot of holes and then install the hardware.
Ooh, that's a fun journey.
That's really cool though that you're building your own drum.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because I you can't find this kind of stuff anywhere. Nobody
Right.
makes. It's called a pancake kick. I call it pancake, because everybody else is making really deep drums, and you can't get anything below sort of 10 inches. This one's 9. So.
Fascinating.
Yeah. That's also because yeah. So I've been actually looking at lots of analog guitar pedals that have lo-fi things, but didn't know. So I didn't see that tone before. Because
It's pretty
if you wanna
low
play
key,
drums,
honestly. Like I the only reason I know about it is because my day job is actually working in the guitar pedal world. Like I answer like tech support stuff for a MIDI controller company. It's also really small. That's based out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's called Disaster Area Designs.
Oh yeah.
You've heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah, it's pretty small. And I'm like, if you have a question, I get all the emails. You know what I mean? I'm the
You get all
person.
the problems.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I really like
you guys
it actually.
live in North Carolina?
No. This is a remote job for me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based actually?
We are in the Midwest. We're in northern Indiana.
Okay.
In between Detroit and Chicago, the two techno and house
Yes.
towns.
Yeah, so we're like just
Between
far
techno
enough
and house.
away and just close enough at the same time.
Yeah.
They're both
Between
on either
techno
side
and
of us.
house, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. What a place to live.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's sort of like in the air, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, what were we talking about? I feel like I was in the middle of saying something, but
The only reason you know
Disaster
about
area.
this is
oh
because-
yeah. The only reason I know about this is because a client actually asked us if we support it or if we control it, and I didn't.
Oh,
I had
didn't
never.
know that.
Yeah, and I had never
I thought
heard
it
of
was
it.
because of Toto that you knew
No,
about
no, it's that low key that it just happened that I found out that one of our friends who streams was in the know, and it doesn't surprise me. But Robin, our friend, had one, But I found that out after the fact. But like,
Oh, that's wild. That
I
all
wouldn't have
happened
known
so
about
fast.
this at all, and I would have totally missed the boat because,
Yeah.
like I said, they're literally just not going to sell it anymore after tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I feel very fortunate to have found out about it because I think this designer is going to be legendary. Like, it's that good.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Ooh.
I can see you actually have the pink version, and there's also a teal version.
A teal
Yes.
version, yeah, and I happened to get the pink. It's super hot. Like I think they only
Hard
have
to have the
50 that they're selling, and it was. It was kind of reminded me of like trying to bid on like a popular eBay auction.
Yeah.
Like they gave you like the call time, that they're going to be dropping them and everything, and it's kind of like a sneaker drop or something like that, and I like tried to like get one and I didn't, and I just happened to email the guy and say like, even though you told me the time, like it was that I should have chose Apple Pay because I missed out on the sale, and it just so happened that they had one left,
And he was like, but it's pink. And you were like, perfect.
yeah, pink was.
Yeah, I would rather have the pink one.
Is my favorite color actually, is from a kid, so one of my favorite colors. Green is technically my favorite color, but pink was my first
pink and green
favorite
go
color
together.
as a kid.
It was cool that they made a pink one.
Yeah, and it's like literally the shade of pink that I would say I
It's
like
perfect.
the best.
Perfectly pink.
Yeah, but
Yeah, no pressure, but kind of good timing if you did want to check
It says
it out.
also buy this pedal. Join Twitch.
Don't do it. Buy this pedal.
And do remixes.
No, right?
Getting a lot of
We're
work now.
Such cult leaders. I'm so sorry. We can't help ourselves.
No,
When we
it's
get
fun.
excited, like being an enthusiast, like just having this energy of being excited about things, and like when someone, you can talk to somebody who actually knows what you're talking about. You're just
Just
you
that.
just want to like share everything.
That was also one of the great things about Superbooth. You're standing in line for a gyros or like a Bradwurst or something, and you just fall into conversation with people, and they like know all the things that you know about, and they immediately have interesting, different perspectives on modular synths or on other synths, everything. So it was quite fun to just chat with people.
Oh, I know. I feel like I was high off of that experience for weeks after, and I thought I'm always gonna feel like this now. But then it died.
Yeah.
But it was also
it died for you. I'm like still leaving people like Instagram voice messages, being like, "Hey man, I just like referencing like specific stuff from Superbooth."
Yeah,
I just drove past that movie theater again, man.
Yeah, it lives on. But the idea that it's like it was more about the fact that like, beyond us all having like the same language about the music, it was like we were all like, it's the same, we're all the same type of person. I don't know how to say that, but it's like we could talk about anything and it would just felt right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had never experienced that before.
Indescribable. Yeah, definitely.
I guess it would be like, the closest thing would be like meeting going as a hippie to a hippie commune.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all the same. Oh, okay, generally the same kind of attitude towards.
Same attitude. Because it's like we've been to these bigger music festivals, or like you mentioned South by Southwest, and like I never really felt like I fit in that much in those places. Like I always felt like I was trying to find my people, or trying to find the right spaces, and I always felt like I'm supposed to feel good here, and I don't know why. And even going to something like NAMM, you know, like a general gear expo, you're just like, why do I hate this? I'm supposed to love it, but I don't know. Superbooth is so
maybe because I was always working.
Well, there's the working element too, but I think also because the weather this year was really perfect too, and it's a lot of inside-outside energy, so you're like, you felt really free to like flow between an inside and outside energy, and like there was different kinds of music playing in different spaces based on like time of day, and just all the people were in the same kind of, I don't know, it's just, you think, oh, it's so niche, but there were still so many people there, you know? From
That's
all
true.
over the world. So that was magical. I could go on and on and on.
But it's, you know, it's fun that you guys are halfway between sort of the home of house and techno, and then you went to sort of Mecca, which is Berlin.
Exactly. You know, I feel like we've covered all the bases now. Yeah, I love it, and we've met amazing people in all those places.
We did not go to a club. We did not go to any of the famous clubs when we were in Berlin. That was the one thing that
I feel like I did, because we talked about everyone's experiences.
Because we talked about it.
I saw the videos, so I was like, wasn't I there?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I did, and I wish that I would have.
No, not like a true club, but there was some. Well, and you know what it was is that we went to that rooftop. There was a place that we went to that was the Berlin Modular Society.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hosting shows.
Did you go to that?
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
It was like the next day.
That was on Sunday, right?
Yeah, it was like
the
people who were still there kind of energy, the leftover energy. But it was at a
Schlappy performed.
We had to go inside of like an abandoned mall.
Yeah.
And take an elevator to a certain level, and then get out and walk through like an abandoned parking garage to get to this like, and then all of a sudden like the seas parted and there was this beautiful rooftop garden, like beer garden thing, and like it was set up for, you know, techno shows, and of course, and then it was like everybody from Superbooth was there.
Yeah.
So it was just like super cool, and then we got to see a bunch of different sets. So that's why I feel like I went to a show.
It's a good point. No, that show was really magical, and we did feel like, you know, we just sort of happened upon people that knew about it. You know what I mean? We didn't know about it on our own. Yeah,
it was one of those things. As we were traveling through the city during the day, we like kept picking people up, you know,
right?
And then we all eventually ended up at that. We didn't know about it intentionally. You can't do things intentionally. You know what I mean? They have to just happen.
In true modular synthesis fashion, we had to improvise upon being at this event.
You sort of go with the flow, and you find out, you explore what will happen. That sounds like it was an interesting place to see. Because I don't think I wouldn't have a good time at sort of a club. It's not really my kind of thing.
It was much more like, it was again an indoor-outdoor space. They had two different stages, and it was intermingled with sort of just the beer garden vibe. So it was much more relaxed and much more like our vibe.
Definitely wasn't like a club vibe.
That intimidates me a little bit.
I like both, but for me, I was like, you know, definitely more of a club person when I was a lot younger. So I don't know if I would still feel the same.
The part of me that thinks I'm still 22 thinks I like that.
Thinks being the key word. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I like seeing older people at, enjoying dance music.
I used to see old people at raves, and I would be like, I want to aspire to be that. Like, I love that this person's here, and like I want to be that way when I get old. So I guess.
Are we there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there already.
I'm totally there.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think we have really done some good conversating.
Yeah,
at this
been
point.
very, very enjoyable.
This is I think that we have streamed long enough. I think we've done enough.
Yeah.
Sort of, you leave it open to see what can come of the conversation. I think we've done
I haven't actually checked the chat.
Oh, I was going to say, I meant to say there was a question on our Instagram for you. And if anybody has questions, this is your time to throw them in. This is the question, what's the most unique thingy turned into a synth instrument that you've seen? Or maybe used as, I don't know, like circuit bending or modding something? I don't know, that's a pretty open question. For
example, I once built a synth out of a tin that was used for shortbread. And it has a bunch of little Scottish dogs on it.
No, that's not it.
And that's another tin that I've
he started collecting these biscuit tins.
I like if I see, I'm sort of like if I see a tin, that it was gifted, or something like that, and I have to repurpose it into some kind of device.
Well, it's like a nice thin metal, and you can drill holes in it.
Exactly. I know that I can drill a hole in it. I'm not very skilled at drilling holes in a guitar pedal enclosure because I know I don't have a drill press, for example. But if I see if the metal is thin enough, I'll be like, oh, I can punch through that.
Yeah.
That sort of warrants making a device.
Yeah, I don't know, but because that reminds me of those old sort of tin cans you had with a piece of string, and then experiencing the sort of teleportation of sound.
Ooh, yes.
But what?
I like the way that sounded.
Yeah, that was cool.
Who asked the question?
Oh, this was on our Instagram.
Oh, okay, yes.
It was just trying to collect. Sometimes people email us or drop an Instagram questions for people for the week.
Could I just hear it again? What was the most unique?
What is the most unique thingy turned synth instrument you've seen?
Thingy, yeah. Actually, there's got to be that guy, Nicholas. It's a French guy who builds a lot of different sort of DIY instruments. He's always doing crazy stuff. And it's a lot of flutes that he blows with his nose. But yeah, synth instrument. That's. I got nothing.
I know. I feel like we're on a game show now, and you have to give us three good responses before the buzzer.
I'm actually trying to build. I'm in the process also of building. It's always in the process of building bass lap steel. Because lap steels tend to be sort of very high strung instruments, but I'm trying to build one that is in the lower octave with sort of really thick piano strings. And I'm hoping that it'll sound a lot more sort of. It'll be closer because there's always that sort of authentic acoustic sound of an instrument, and then there's the otherworldly synth sound, which doesn't sort of connect with the real world in the same way. And I always wanted to find something that has equal parts in both. And I think a bass lap steel would be quite fun to build.
Wow.
Of course, with lots of guitar pedal effects. But in terms of thingy that's been made into a synth. Synth. Nope. Coming up with nothing.
No. You can, maybe you'll dream about it tonight, and then you can tell us later.
I'll wake up screaming about it. That was that thing.
Yeah, if you don't have an answer, we're gonna have to use the shortbread tin. So.
Yeah, or I don't know. I feel like it makes me think of another friend of ours who streams the Killer Bee Relay Team is the name he goes by, and he also on Instagram shares that he's created some modules that he'll leave his synth outside, and then squirrels will come, and they'll actually interface with it. He'll leave some food or something to bring them in, and then they'll do stuff, and then that generates the patch. And
That's funny.
Really funny. I love those videos.
That's definitely the most interesting input method.
Yeah, that's a different question, but
that I've heard of or seen.
Yeah. Well, there's also those people who connect sort of electrodes to plants and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah, or vegetables and all kinds
mushrooms,
of organic material.
Yeah, that's a really interesting sort of niche side of sound experimenting, because it's extremely visual.
Yeah.
And so that really feeds into like the world that we're in right now, how we consume things. But it's also very easily misconstrued. I think. Like the plants are playing something. I guess. Because it's something that friends of mine who maybe aren't in this world but know that I'm in, they'll be like, oh, have you seen this?
It's easily digestible.
The plants are singing, and now we know what they sound like. And I'm like, that's not what's happening.
Not quite it. No.
That's not quite it. No. So I find that a very interesting sort of unbound
it's an interesting
space that people are the posting, when you get that sort of feedback loop of like, oh, the platform wants me to post this. Yeah. And then you don't want to break that wall, the sort of Wizard of Oz curtain.
Yeah. It's like, it's cute that you thought of me, not what's happening at all. But...
Yeah, that totally ruins it. So it's interesting. It's been interesting to see that spread.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seemed to be all over the place.
Exactly. People are like, the plants are talking. I'm like, well.
Just a second, my son's asking something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, vi kan godt kigge på senere. Yeah, okay, then come in. If you want to be on the live
stream.
From
the chat to the stream.
Yeah.
I love it.
Chat. So he wanted to ask about something.
Okay. Well, obviously, you've reached your limit, your time limit. With the,
oh, really?
I have a clock going. No.
It's 22 already. Holy moly.
Can you believe that? That's what I was saying. It's like I forgot to keep track of time, and then I just noticed how much has gone by, and I just I like to always leave on a high note. I don't want to get to a point where we're all like falling asleep.
Not that that's ever happened, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Oh yeah, Danielle's pointing out there's a lot of videos out now too from like, this is the sound of a black hole, and it's like, that's not quite what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool post. It seems really cool. It'll go viral.
Yeah, exactly.
But it just
it's difficult to say that the black hole makes a sound in space. No.
Yeah,
it's actually the fascinating thing about synth music is because it is the closest we can aesthetically get to the sounds of space, because you have to invent it,
That's a really good point. And we are like channeling electricity, which is an invisible force that seems like it, exists in space.
It seems to, doesn't it?
Well, we always talk about how, like the formation of the universe as we can see it and experience it is, light and sound. Yeah. Is what formed the worlds. So it's fascinating stuff that I don't know that much about, and I don't want to sound like I do. Again, I'm feeding into the same narrative that I was just critiquing.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one.
But there's a general principle there that we're tapping into with our synths.
Yeah. I just recently learned here a couple of weeks ago that the galaxy, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, we've all been told. But apparently the expansion of space can happen at faster than the speed of light. So there are actual galaxies that are moving away from us faster than the speed of light, because the space between is expanding faster than the speed of light. Which I was thinking like, holy moly, it's always been nothing faster than the speed of light. But now they're just changing that completely, because the inflation of the universe is actually going faster at the extremes.
Oh wow!
The space is expanding faster than light, which is crazy.
Doesn't that just it sounds like a horror film at the same time?
It does.
It's terrifying, but it's also but that's been happening whether you knew about it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently there's got to be lots of galaxies that have gone beyond that horizon that we'll never be able to physically reach. Even light will not be able to physically reach it.
Oh my goodness. So Sitting and thinking about the eternal expansion of the universe is something I used to do as a kid. It's so weird that I would do that, but it would freak me out, and I liked that feeling.
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, because I felt like there was nothing else that made me feel that way. Thinking about how things are, like time is so, conceptualizing that is like impossible. And so thinking about the impossibility of conceptualizing things that our brains can't conceptualize used to really freak me out as a little kid.
I've never heard this about you.
I know, this is just really sparking that for me, because it's the idea that when you, and this is why I like music as well, so it ties in. I'm gonna make it tie in. You can hyper focus on the present moment that you're in and like everything that's around you right now, or you can zoom out, right? And now you're saying we can zoom out faster than the speed of light, and that will take you to a completely different mindset, right? And perspective. And like sometimes if you're feeling small or scared or unsure, if you can apply that idea of like zooming as far out as you possibly can, it can kind of like take your mind out of that idea that whatever you're worried about even matters, because oh my gosh, there's galaxies we'll never even be able to see.
Yeah, the light from them will never reach us because
and so just like how much other stuff don't we know, it just sort of can
it might have happened to half the universe already.
It's endlessly fascinating to me. It's why I love channeling electronic music and why I love sci-fi so much, because I feel like they feed each other. Let's see. Oh yes, the chat is going wild. It's
a physical manifestation of all that.
Oh wow. Oh no, Danielle knows more about this than we do. Galaxy has the ability to change the speed of light because it defines distance and time by its own being. Oh gosh. I know, right? Settle in. We might be here for another 2 hours. I know. We just.
I'm not sure. That's the last thing I should think about before I go to bed.
I know. I'm so sorry.
It's expanding faster than the speed of light.
Suddenly, this is starting to feel like the end of the first episode of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
What is that?
Where they're like.
Oh, there's been a long time.
They're just basically debating, I'm not going to talk about the exact thing they're debating, but it's like a physics concept.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just it's Mike Judge doing like a joke about all of these dorks in a room debating this thing.
This kind of unknowable concept.
Yeah. We're getting into that territory with
We are getting it. Oh, I see.
Good.
Sort of cliche, jokey stuff. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
This could go on, and the whole thing is like there's this like apparently it went on like all through the night and through the next day, and like they're ordering food to
discuss it
because they're still talking about it.
That's gonna be
they're ordering
takeout. This is that stream. Should we order?
It's like,
I'm ordering takeout.
Let's get some Thai food. Who wants? Some
I think
Thai
we
food?
can solve this. I think we can solve this unknowable universe problem that we have.
If we just get enough Thai food.
Now I'm hungry. Oh my gosh.
I am too.
This was amazing.
Yeah. It's been a nice, lovely conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much for, bantering with us, if you will.
Yeah.
And being able to go with the flow. We sort of like to think of these conversations with people as improv as well. Rather than, we don't have a set of interview questions.
Yeah, we don't have a script. I mean, can you tell?
This is not scripted.
I would really love to have had a little studio tour as well. Have you guys done any of that on YouTube?
Oh, we haven't.
No.
You might be the first request, maybe, that
really?
we've known about. Yeah, I think...
you should do a little video studio tour. Says the man that hasn't done one either himself.
I know, right?
But I want to see your studio. I don't want to see my own studio.
I know. That's always the thing. I think that's what we're always, like, asking from other people to know what to get asked us. Or maybe we just... People haven't verbalized it to us. Yeah. But
I do have
we're always looking for inspiration.
My Buchla is on modular grid.
Oh yeah.
The as it is now?
Yeah. So you asked me to do that actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Martin did?
No.
No, I did?
Yeah, you did.
I thought Martin did.
No, you did for you were like maybe you did too.
Maybe it was for that reason.
Yeah. It might have been. I've done it a few times. It would definitely be a different one. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you did me now, it would be different.
How would I find it? How can I link it?
Modular grid.
Modular grid. You could type in like, I don't know my screen name. It's like Gus_Green or something.
So if I did like modular grid Gus Green, maybe?
Gus_Green maybe. Yeah, I doubt you're gonna find it that way, honestly.
Darn. Okay, maybe
I would have to log into my account and share a link.
Okay, so it'll you can generate a link and then you can put it in the Discord.
I did that only because you were like, put that up there so that we can, let our Discord know. I think there's a link to it in our Discord under it's like an early gear section.
So long ago, Discord
post.
Such a hard thing to search.
It is. To find some.
But we will post it. I'll put a link to our Discord here in the chat.
I was for a brief time. I was actually I really liked the aesthetic of the Buchla stuff. But then I actually tried one of them, and I wasn't impressed by the knobs. I thought this is like 14 years ago.
That's impressive that you played one 14 years ago.
Yeah. It was a buddy of mine. He bought one of those panels. One of those boats, and I thought it was too wobbly for the price.
Oh, you tried a 200E.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree actually. So mine,
but I'm actually, your system
is a clone system, so it's they're basically everyth's got nuts and they're screwed on tight like a vintage synth.
Like, is that the Roman? What's his name?
Roman. The Roman. Clones,
it was a Polish dude who was doing clones, I think. But I'm actually quite interested in the tip-top versions now because they seem quite solid and cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say if you.
And I actually got to try it.
Yes, that's right.
At Superbooth because they were showing a complete system, and I thought, okay, this actually feels like how I imagined that a Buchla system would feel like. No.
I'm very excited for you to try that out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
specifically, if that works out for you, I know how it is.
Yeah. I'm impressed with that stuff. I saw it at Superbooth as well, and I thought it was very cool what they're doing with that, and I think Tip Top's the perfect company to do it.
Yeah. But the to buy list on my Google Docs is just too long now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm excited for you to try that. And then I'm like, but I'm sure that's way down the list of priorities.
I'm gonna have to look at that ribbons right now.
Yeah, that one.
Sorry,
you can throw in
but
there.
I would like, I put my full reputation on the line for that pedal.
Yeah, okay. Definitely gotta listen to it.
Yeah, we'll start there. We'll start easy. We start with that pedal, then we get you on Twitch, then we get you into Buchla.
But I just also have too many DIY projects, Sometimes I've started doing the reverse now. Instead of having a New Year's, what do they call it in America? It's called New Year's promises that you make to yourself.
Oh, a resolution. Yeah.
Resolutions, that's the one. Yeah, New Year's resolutions. I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing projects that I give up. So every New Year I go, okay, I'm giving up at least 5 projects, DIY projects, and I'm no longer going to be thinking about them.
That's brilliant. I actually think that's a really mature approach.
Yeah,
because it frees things up. Yeah, like
exactly, it frees things up.
Holding on to something for too long, and it's draining energy from you when you really want to be doing something else. Yeah, that's another thing you have to learn as an artist, when to let go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think New Year's is a I don't know what de-resolution. What do you call it?
I love that. I think you should make that a thing. I'm gonna spread that around. I like it.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty
of
things.
What things are you giving up?
Yeah, what things are you giving up? I love that. That's such a good prompt too, because it makes you think about things differently. Instead of beating yourself up that you didn't get something done, now you can get excited to like clear.
So you're also lifting a weight from your own sort of sense of guilt.
Yes. Wow, this has been a very low key spiritual chat that we've had.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
That's our style. Yeah.
It is. Sorry, that could be us.
Low key spiritual. Low key culty.
Yeah, we know a little bit about these things, but we don't want to take them too seriously. But I like that idea of a practice.
Yeah. Do exactly what we recommend.
Do exactly what we recommend.
Oh, this is funny, Danielle. We talked about this too with Martin, is that like our studios look so different to people from the camera view or whatever than it actually feels to be in here.
Yeah.
Well, Grace said that it seemed.
Yeah, we had somebody we know from Twitch actually came in here and was in the space with us. And she was like, "Oh, this feels completely different than I was expecting from how it looks on the camera."
Yeah.
And I was like,
So
"Ooh,
spoiler
I don't know
alert,
if that's good or bad. I think it's kind of cool though."
It's very deceiving, apparently.
It is.
Yeah. So you were saying that about your space too.
Yeah, it's only about, I don't know, 12 feet by 12 feet. I can sort of reach everywhere. Just.
That's brilliant though. That's perfect, I think.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you go into studios and the studios are just too big, you just kind of lose the energy of playing there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the room is just you can't really feel the sound. I don't know when you get into these huge spaces.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's something I have never put into words before. Because you just kind of get maybe, I'm supposed to think this is the best.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, this must be the best. What do I know? Yeah. But you're right. There's something about that. I mean, as a vocalist, I love being in a little booth anyway. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially if you're doing stuff that's not sort of Tina Turner belting it out, Whitney Houston at the very top of everything possible, both volume and pitch-wise. But if you're doing something more intimate, then it makes a lot more sense to have the walls close to you, in a way. Yeah.
That's a really good point. It's a really good principle. I like that a lot. We do have one last question here from Din Control.
Our buddy.
That's so funny, of course.
Hey.
Welcome in. Yeah. We were just conjuring you because we were talking about Superbooth. When are you going to show up to the Copenhagen modular meetups again?
Oh yeah. I'm kind of embarrassed to come meet up with this kind of stuff because there are holes in it. You can't meet up with holes.
You can't. Is that a rule?
Yeah, apparently. No, I don't know. It's just you want to feel like you have like a complete idea, Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, it runs on batteries.
I mean, it looks like you're ready to go.
Yeah, but I need to have one last effect here.
Oh, it's always one last effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just one more.
There's
effect.
always
Just
one last effect.
You could always get some snazzy blank panels.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one way to cover up your holes.
Yeah. Blank panels.
And if you need them to serve a purpose, you could make them vents.
Oh yeah, vented. So yeah, I have to vent it because of the batteries.
That makes sense.
There you go. Yeah. That's your excuse. It sounds like you've got some encouragement though here for you to go do that.
Yeah, I should definitely meet up at the modular meet. It's always fun.
I mean, it's cool to be in a city where that's occurring. Like we don't have that where we are.
Oh really?
So.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, they're also coming over. There's a Konstantin. He also comes over. He's like a developer of modules, and he also comes over from Sweden because it's not that far.
Right.
There's a lot of modular guys. I think also Bo Beats lives quite close to Copenhagen, like a couple of hours away, or an hour and a half.
Oh,
man, that's
cool.
an all-star lineup.
Yeah.
Is this the Konstantin that like Portobello's that does like the Buchla stuff and EMS stuff?
No, I don't think he does.
Not the same
Buchla
one.
Stuff.
Okay.
No, but there is a guy, and I've met him, who does. Is it called the Lighthouse Buchla? They built in a. I think they built in a Eventide pedal into a Buchla system.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Is that Northern Light Modular?
Yeah, Northern Light Modular. Yeah, I've met that guy a couple of times.
Oh, that's not what we're talking about though.
No.
Okay.
But I know who you're talking about as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's a small modular world.
Yeah. Truly. I do feel like, I know a lot of people couldn't go to Superbooth, but it did feel like everyone was really pretty well represented.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like I only met like half the people there.
Right,
of course, because it's a huge event. But I didn't even make, because you guys were talking about that golden shrimp.
Yes, the Golden Shrimp
Guild, and I never made it out to the tent because
yeah. Well, we were being ambassadors roaming around.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to make it to the tent. We were next to the acid booth.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Some people were just hanging out outside the shrimp tent because of the acid booth was going hard the whole time, and it was a good vibe. And there was that circus tent that was up. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah, I never even got into that.
I didn't go in there either.
And I was always wondering, what the hell is the circus tent doing here? Where does the Golden Shrimp Guild name come from?
Yes. Okay, we have no idea. So apparently it was started by a guy who's based in the Chicago area, I believe. And it was just a couple people, and they were like on Twitch being like, I'm trying to remember, we did an interview with the current person who's sort of runs it now, and he was telling us the story, but it's very mystical. And I don't know why it's called that. I feel like I asked, and I don't even remember. It's sort of like, it's just this entity that we all accept at this point. But I don't know why it was called that. But it definitely did evolve from just the few people that were on Twitch doing modular stuff, or just Dallas, jamming. That there was like 3 people. There's nobody. And even when we joined Twitch as just a user, I kept trying to find synth stuff, Dallas stuff. I couldn't find it. I don't know why I couldn't find it. And then we were just streaming, and they found us. Yeah. Because they're roaming Twitch, looking for everyone to bring them into the fold. And then once you're plugged in, oh my gosh, now it's thousands of people, it feels like. At least hundreds. Cool. Who all have a different take on what they're doing. And it might be influenced on where they're at in the world, what they have access to, or, their background, how they got into it. That's why I always love to ask people's origin stories of like, did you come at this from always being into electronics? Was it from guitar stuff? Was it like, what was the gateway for you? And everyone has a different one, and that informs like what they do. And then of course everyone's so creative, so how they stream and what they're doing on stream is like all over the map. So it's really, really
the start also influences what you're striving for. What you're reaching, what kind of idea you're sort of going for. And it's also kind of fun to think about, because you're always just going for something. You're not really aware of why you're doing it.
To have sort of like the platform, then that starts to give you more ideas. Oh, I'm going to try this on stream, or I'm going to use this plugin to make this happen on the screen while I'm doing it, or whatever. Like, there's so many different things that will come to you because you're in it and you're doing it. And you would never have thought of that before without being plugged in. Plug it.
I got to try it.
Yay!
I'll try out Twitch.
Well, I would say, feel free to do it on your own, obviously, but if you want to be part of the community, like, you're welcome to join anytime. You can join the Discord, or you can just ask us about it. We can plug you into a slot for one of the raids, and you can kind of get a feel for what it's like. And everyone's super, super nice and welcoming. No one's like, we're like anti-gatekeepers and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, we want people to be there. We want more people involved, and we want everyone to express themselves as they are. So if you don't know how to raid, or you don't know how to use the chat commands or whatever, like no one's gonna yell at you for that.
I got no idea about all that stuff.
I know, it took us a long time to learn.
We'll expect an Instagram remix performance using the ribbons pedal from you, of course.
And simulcast to Twitch, of course.
Right. Exactly. Tomorrow, we'll expect it.
Yes, by 8 p.m.
By 8 p.m. Perfect.
Yes.
Gosh, thank you so much for doing this. We just really appreciate it, and just awesome to know you and to have met in person. That was super cool, and we look forward to many more cosmic connections.
Excellent.
And we will we'll see you on the gram.
See you around,
or in Superbooth 24.
Superbooth 24, here we come. The pressure's on.
The pressure's on.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Hey.
To turn off the space machine. Oops. That was a glitch. I knew it. I was like, I hit too many buttons at once because I get nervous. I always want to ferry people off of the stream in a very gentle way because it can be kind of like abrupt to just sort of end the stream and the Zoom and everything all at once.
Right.
I'm still working on my little production side of things, but thank you all so much. This was so rad. Obviously, we started earlier than we normally do, so I think that's part of why we went a little longer than normal, because we're like, hey, it's just the middle of the afternoon.
It was rad, and I really enjoyed that.
I hope we got to everyone's questions. I think we did. It was great to see you, Din Control. I actually was thinking before we started the stream, I was like, oh, we haven't seen them in a while. I hope this lures them out because it's like Copenhagen time. The Copenhagen connections. Yeah. Yes, Martin, you jumped in the chat. Oh, I'm so glad you learned how to use that. I hope that you enjoyed the Twitch experience and that it was welcoming for you. Because, you know, some people it's really intimidating and they ask us to like not even, just to pretend like we're on a Zoom call and not even interface with the Twitch at all.
Right.
Some people are just not. So I always love when someone's like willing to give it a go and just jump in and not be too overwhelmed by it. But yeah, super duper, super fun. Oh, Obama Sweetman, I'm glad you were able to catch some of it. I know it was sort of during work hours. But yeah, that's the fun of Synth Friends, is that sometimes it's in the evening, sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's the middle of the day, based on where everybody's at. And I always love that because it brings out a different crowd every time based on the time zone. Mm-hmm. Yay! I know, I'm glad. It's really fun to talk about Twitch on Twitch with people. I always think that's really funny. And the fact that, Martin was into it is great. It wasn't just us being evangelists, weirdos.
Even though we did evangelize quite a bit.
We did. How can you not?
To the point to where, like, I just couldn't help but make fun of it. Like, we...
Work lurk.
We're like, you gotta do this.
I know, it's too much. We can be, we've been told, individually and collectively, too much. We can be too much for people. So I think that's another reason why we loved Superbooth and this community so much, and the Twitch community, is because I think it's a lot of people who've been told they're too much, if you know what I mean. When you're like, I'm like the quietest one, what are you talking about? Nope. When I get excited about stuff, I'm too much.
Us too muchers, have to stick together.
Yeah, we gotta stick together, exactly. I totally blew it. I was supposed to open this whole thing telling you that this was brought to you by the Vortex, and I had this whole thing planned out, and then I totally forgot to do it because I was so excited, because we were chatting with Martin before the stream and we just like got on a roll with things already, and I was like, we just have to start. But this episode of Synth Friends was brought to you by the Vortex, which I'm very excited that we have more and more stuff in there all the time, even though we loaded it with our back archive of our whole story of who we are and all our music and all of our drones and all of our tutorials. We, packed it in before we even launched it, but now that it's open, all the stuff we've been talking about from Superbooth is in there. If you're at the VIP level, you have access to all of the, special interviews we've done and all of our live shows. So if we've done a stream on here that's considered part of a festival, we're putting that in the Vortex as well so that it lives on forever. It won't be on YouTube. It's just going to be in the Vortex. And I have some of the rest of our Superbooth content that's mostly the Buchla stuff. The Sound Freak modular stuff, all the different...
That was my favorite.
All the Buchla stuff that we could find, the Tip Top Audio stuff. So I'm working on that right now, and that's going to be kind of like our big celebratory hurrah for the Vortex to say, this is all the Superbooth stuff.
Yeah, it'll be dropping next April.
But we did do interviews with people, and those are in there. So it's sort of like we did Superbooth Synth Friends, and that stuff's all in the Vortex. So lots of new stuff coming. We actually have some new music that we have a meeting about tomorrow. That's going to end up in the Vortex. Some stuff that we recorded.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'll tell you about it later. There's too much going on. So I just want you to know that you can join us in the Vortex if you want to be part of just taking us to, those outer galaxies that we can't see.
Yeah, we're talking Webb telescope.
Yeah. Taking the Galaxy Electric universe community. There's a private Discord channel for anybody who's a member. We're creating new merch together. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, what doesn't overwhelm you, but also excites you, because it is a lot. I have to figure out how to talk about things so that they don't sound like a whole bunch of things that you can't really understand. It just sort of washes over you. But I'd say, like, really getting to interact with everybody in the Discord and creating merch together has been really fun for me, because I normally would go, yeah, I'll get to that. But having the Vortex is making me complete things and actually share them and then get feedback with everybody. So we were just talking yesterday about how the next project for the Vortex is something we're actually going to ask y'all what you want. So there's going to be a poll in the private Discord for Vortex members about what specific thing you want next from us, which we have like a couple options of things that we want to do, that we want to hear from you about what you want. So get ready for that.
Yeah, just keep my best interests in mind.
Well, it's going to be anything he wants to do anyway, so it's more of like, how can we make sure we complete things and not get overwhelmed by having a million ideas all the time?
I'm in the mood for doing sample libraries.
There you go. Also, Saturday night we're going to be watching a sci-fi movie, so if you join our regular Discord that's open to anybody, you can vote on what movie we watch. That's another fun thing. And then tomorrow we will be streaming at 6 p.m. Eastern Time doing dance music, breakbeats, bukla, loopers, up-tempo.
There may be some sci-fi samples.
There may be
involved.
oh right, oh god. I get overwhelmed thinking about all this stuff, but it's all happening, and so it's not overwhelming, it's exciting. But I don't know if you noticed, we started playing more music on Twitch again. We have this whole library of sci-fi samples that come from basically our movie nights watches. And
we're developing a library, let's just say
the library is ongoing all the time. And on Friday, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or next Friday, but that's the next piece of the puzzle for us that we're adding into the live stream music streams, is those sci-fi samples. But there's going to be another fun interactive layer to it.
Once I actually have more.
Once we have like the library built, there's going to be a layer where you get to actually request and sort of play a game with us while we're making the music for you with the sci-fi samples. So that's something that I've been developing for the past year, that it's just finally time for us to do. So I'm really excited, and thank you for bringing that up.
It'll finally be your opportunity to hit a button and make us do something that we actually want to do.
Yeah, that's related to what's going on. So
and
sort of
related to stuff that we've already done.
Instead of like
watch movies.
We don't necessarily have like our own music to play for you, to like play a concert, and we don't have cover songs that you can request. So this is our version of creating sort of a request show, if that makes sense. So hopefully that'll all make sense when we do it, and it'll be exciting. But it's in the birthing stages. It is gestating, if you will. And I do think that the sample library is probably going to be the next thing that we do. I think that I'm just going to let you all vote on it anyway, if you're in the Vortex.
But if you care
but
about
I'm pretty sure it's going to be sample
at all,
libraries.
you should vote sample libraries.
It's also sort of like, it's in line with this thing we're working on anyway, so it helps us in our endeavor to make the music as well as giving you guys something.
I just like sharing my sounds.
Yeah, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
If you want me to share more of my sounds, choose sample libraries. If you want to choose something else, consider yourself not a microphysicist.
Oh no, that's so harsh.
I'm playing around. I'm playing deadpan here.
Deadpan.
I will be happy doing any of it, honestly. And to be completely honest, sample libraries, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's why I was like, are you sure you want to request that?
It was just what I feel in my soul right now. Trying to be in the moment.
Okay. Yeah, go with your gut. Let's do this. So tomorrow we'll be playing up-tempo jams for you at 6 p.m. Playing around with these ideas, try to solidify them more. I know we kind of started out saying we're going to compose during Twitch streams, but we've decided that that's not fun for us, so we're not going to do that anymore. It's just going to be like live improv performing, that we're not going to worry about trying to compose at the same time.
Well, we'll probably record it.
Yeah, we'll do that like kind of from the inspiration we get from the streams rather than trying to do it at the same time.
So you
we
still
just want to
get
have more fun. We want to play like a game and
you still get your Grateful Dead concert experience of taping the concert.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be more of a coming to a
live taping.
More of a live taping concert experience than us like chatting and
It
composing
will
and
be
creating sounds.
better quality audio than OBS streamed into Twitch.
Oh gosh,
which is atrocious.
I have the Shrimp Guild stuff going. This is hilarious.
By my standards.
That's so funny. Yeah, so I just hit a button I didn't mean to hit, so I apologize if you are now getting an ad. I'm gonna wait. I accidentally hit the run 1 minute ad, so for 1 minute I'm gonna sit here and watch this countdown happen, and I apologize for anyone who's in the ad and can't hear me right now. I don't know how to make it stop, and I don't know why that would even be a button I can hit. I don't understand that. Why is that there? I was trying to go to our control panel.
The amount of time it takes to cook a Hot Pocket. We'll be back.
Hot Pocket. 1 minute Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket.
So I apologize for that interruption as we find someone to read. But thank you all so much for being here and enjoying this chat with us. It was super inspiring. I feel like Martin, again, is low-key cosmic.
He's very low-key cosmic.
Like, he would probably never say that about himself, but it's
right.
definitely coming through.
He would. I think we could get him to say it about himself.
You could get him just to admit it. We could hold him down and get him to admit it.
He seemed pretty...
no, wait, what does this mean? It's preparing?
Open to our ideas.
Okay, I'm going to try to raid out before this happens. How annoying.
You just restarted the clock?
I don't know what that is. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know what I pressed. But we are going to raid someone who's playing music, and hopefully we'll beat the clock. I don't know what I just did, so I apologize. But thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll see you on the other side of this raid, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6 for some music. And I think we beat the clock. Thanks, friends.
Thank you.
Loki Cosmic! You are still here. See, I never know if you're still here or not. We're talking about you. See you on the other side, friends. This is a raid, Martin, by the way. You're going to get sent. If you don't opt out, you're going to get sent to another stream right now, and we'll all be there.
It was a blast.